and it has begun. You see, many people have been asking, where are the arrests at? People were defrauding the government. We got this Doge stuff in there. Elon Musk is tearing through this being like, look at all the money that's being stolen. What are these payments even? Well, they've announced now the DOJ has indicted and arrested hundreds of individuals for this crazy healthcare scheme, of which many were defrauding Medicare and Medicaid, buying luxury vehicles and living lavish lifestyles. So hopefully this is just the beginning. But my friends, we were struggling to figure out what the lead of the day was, despite the fact the day started off actually rather slow. We've got the big, beautiful bill. They're stripping out the good stuff and leaving in bad stuff or giving us half measures. Then you've got this story about mass arrests over fraud. They're stealing billions from the government. And get this, the Trump administration has issued a directive to start targeting individuals who can be denaturalized. That is, for crimes they committed, actually have their citizenship revoked. Holy crap. And that's actually not all the news we have. We got a bunch more. That Brian, what's his name, Kohlberger?
Kohlberger, yeah.
Pleaded guilty. He said he killed the people. Then you got these firefighters that got ambushed. Then you got the story about PA Democrats that were arrested and charged and convicted for an election scheme. Woo. I thought it was going to be a slow news day.
Antifa's using sound weapons in Portland.
Next thing you're going to tell me, aliens are here.
Well, they're falling from the sky right now.
All right. We got a lot to talk about. Before we get started, though, we got a great sponsor. Check it out. It's Bearskin. I am wearing this bearskin right now. It is amazing. That's BAER.SKIN/Tim if you want to pick up one of these amazing rain jacket fleeces. They're a 10-in-1. I've got over there, I got the rain shell, the heavy shell. You zip right into it and you turn your nice fancy little fleece hoodie into a, all-weather amazing outfit. It's actually, this is my favorite thing. I wear it all the time now. I used to wear that black random hoodie and everyone was like, where'd it come from? I'm like, no, we got the bearskin now. So my friends, I want to thank Bearskin, of course. They sent us a bunch of these. I think everybody's got one now. I don't know. Most people do. When it's raining, and it's been raining like crazy, I just zip up that shell, or I just wear the shell straight up. This thing's 100% fully waterproof. It's got taped seams, 5 waterproof pockets. Check that out. So I believe it's also got 10 pockets in total. It zips right into the bearskin hoodie, and it's a 3-in-1 all-weather system. Right now, you'll get a 60% discount when you go to bear.skin/Tim, 60% off, or text 36912. Text Tim 36912. You'll get 60% off. And maybe you're watching this in the car. Maybe it's late at night. You don't got your phone, whatever. Maybe you only got your phone. You can just text that number, 36912. Text Tim. They'll send you a link, and you can buy the stuff whenever you want. You can pick it up when you got time. And I mean it legit. You see me, I'm wearing this thing all the time now because it actually is super comfortable. And, it works out really well. I really do like it. So shout out to Bearskin. Also, don't forget to go to castbrew.com. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. We got 1776 Signature Brew American Cream. Who's that on that bag?
I've never seen her before in my life.
Oh, that's Josie, the redheaded Libertarian. And this is Josie's Signature American Cream. And we also have the birthday blend just in time for the 4th of July. Look how amazing these graphics are in these bags. You guys got to go to castbrew.com and buy that coffee because it is the best coffee you will ever have. I guarantee it. At least that's what I'm told by my lawyers I'm allowed to say, so hopefully I am. Don't forget to also smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and everything else is Josie.
Hi, I'm Josie. I'm the redheaded Libertarian on X, and I do outside media work for Timcast, and I have this great new coffee that came out, and I'm really excited about it. And this coffee, how do you think Paul Revere rode so fast? This coffee. Yeah. Are your lawyers?
They're probably going to tell you can't say that because that's not legally allowed.
Allegedly, Paul Revere.
In a video game.
Let's just say that the Liberty Tree thirsts and it thirsts for this coffee.
Oh, man. Yeah, check it out, Casper.com. Shane's hanging out.
What's up? I am the host of Inverted World Live. Last week, we had a lot of things falling out of the sky, spheres and meteors. This week, we're going to get into the gunman in Idaho. We're going to get into a new blood type that's been found in Guadalupe. Yeah, French scientists have been working on this blood type. They don't know.
No, I heard about that, actually.
They don't know where this antibody's from, so they've classified it as exactly what we're going to say tonight on Inverted World Live. And we got some UFOs in L.A. Hey, Phil.
How you doing? So this past weekend, Shane hooked me up with some information about clouds that hopefully I can get him to talk about on the after show. Yeah. I am Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All the Ermans. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary, so let's get into it.
He's also being driven insane by Shane, but that's another story.
Yeah.
There's nothing more wonderful than hanging out with Shane.
I'm the sonic weapon outside your window.
All right, let's go. Here's a story from Reuters. U.S. says it halts healthcare fraud schemes worth nearly $15 billion. And I feel like they buried the lead. The lead story is they've filed criminal charges against 324 defendants and the seizure of more than $245 million in cash, luxury cars, and other assets. The actual loss to the U.S. government totaled about $2.9 billion. So when we had all this DOJ stuff going through and everyone's saying, when are you going to start arresting these people who are ripping off the taxpayer? Well, there you go. This is massive. They say today, quote, today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. Matthew, how do you pronounce that? Galeotti?
Galeotti, that's what I would say.
The head of the Justice Department's criminal division told reporters during a press conference. Those charges include 93 doctors and other medical professionals accused of submitting false claims to government healthcare programs like Medicare and Medicaid. This is absolutely nuts. I think we actually have a video claims here. Let's it's 52 seconds long. Let's make sure we get the volume up. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Galeotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's criminal division. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Holy crap. I'm excited. This feels good, huh?
It's Obamacare.
Yeah.
What?
That's Obamacare for you.
That's Obamacare.
He just comes out and he's like, actually, literally, it's the whole health Obama infrastructure, 50,
It's got to go.
I do like the fact that, well, not like the fact, but I'm hoping that this will actually lead to people that are extremely critical of the government and that are impatient. They're saying, oh, these things aren't happening fast enough. Hopefully this will be another indication that there are investigations going on. There are moves being made. And whereas, yes, I would love it if, they could have just got into office and snapped their fingers and all the bad people.
Why are you looking at me?
Automatically.
Why are you looking at me while you're saying
I'm looking around the table. All the bad people just automatically just were in cuffs and locked up. It would have been wonderful. But I do actually, and I know people are going to be like, oh, you're so naive, but I do actually think that there are at least a few people that are actually in the government looking to fix significant problems. Not saying they're going to fix them all. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying this is exactly how everything's going to be rosy and stuff. But I do think that you're going to see more and more of this throughout the summer. I mean, that's what Dan Bongino and Cash Patel said.
I was looking up who some of these people were, and there's a story out of Baton Rouge, some women just totally defrauding elderly and disabled to get cars. I mean, it's just sick stuff.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem with the government, with the budget that we have, the size of the government, the idea that there isn't massive fraud and abuse. Never mind waste. Of course, there's going to be waste. People, it's not your money that's automatically going to happen. They're just like, whatever. It's another $500, another $1,000, whatever. Right. There's going to be people that are not going to be looking to spend the money in the most frugal manner possible. But the real problem with a massive government is the abuse and the fraud. The people that are going to try to use government money to put an addition on their house, or if they can figure it out, use government money to buy themselves cars, use government programs to put their kids through school when they don't deserve it, or whatever. Those kind of things are going to happen, and it's going to be more common because of the size and scope of government.
Is this a path to arresting Fauci if we undo the auto pen pardon?
This is a total different topic, but Fauci, Rand Paul is actually going to subpoena Fauci. I saw something on Twix. I didn't retweet it, so I don't have a post that I can show you or whatever. Okay. But I saw it today. Rand Paul is looking to subpoena Fauci, and hopefully we can actually get something moving on that front as well. Yep. Considering the information, I don't know if we're going to talk about this either, but considering the information about the RFK found all the hidden information that the CDC was hiding. You know, again, that's another thing that'll come out, or that's come out, that shows that there are people in the government that were elected or that were appointed by Donald Trump, proving that, you know, electing Donald Trump was definitely the better option without question. So
for posterity, I want to clarify, we don't exactly, it has been reported hundreds of arrests. That's why we led with that phrasing specifically. Reuters doesn't say arrests as charges, but other websites do say arrests. And I started thinking about something. I wonder if they actually shut up and started cuffing all these people, which I imagine most of them probably did. There's 13 confirmed people in Indiana that were arrested over this. 12 people, I think, in like Eastern Europe got caught or something. I don't, you know, I just want to clarify. It has been reported by many outlets. These are mass arrests, but Reuters didn't say that. So I'm just going to make sure that's clear. Yeah. Because we want to be specific. And if it turns out they're like, oh, we arrested, you know, it says in the Reuters article, they arrested 12. There's another article saying they arrested 13. If it turns out that there's dozens of arrests, I'm still happy with it, you know, beginning, but I just want to make sure that's clear.
The article I was referencing about the ladies in Baton Rouge, they were charged with conspiracy after alleging defrauding federal programs benefiting the elderly and disabled.
Hopefully the situation, this is like the DOJ just kind of sticking their toe in saying, let's see how the water is. And now they can be like, oh, the water's fine. Let's just jump in there and just arrest everyone.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, you know, some people might be saying, who cares about healthcare, you know, the system, whatever, like get to the corruption in politics and in law and the FBI. I think most people are not going to be satisfied with this because this is going after the fraud of where people were stealing money. It's what DOJ was looking for, waste, fraud, and abuse. And people were saying, if there's all this fraud, where are the charges? Okay, well, they just brought 324 defendants in, so that's a good start. But I do know there'll be a lot of people being like, okay, fine, but what about politics? I say, start at the base. You start pulling Jenga blocks out from the bottom of the pyramid, and you weaken the infrastructure. So I'm not saying that any of these doctors are colluding or conspiring, but starting at the bottom and eroding this base of criminality and fraud in the government, and then the higher up people that are trying to maintain and support that will have no support systems themselves.
I hope so.
This is the GDP of a small country. I mean, this is a lot of money. I'm looking at Doge AI, and it says the transnational criminal organization, they're calling this Operation Gold Rush, allegedly led by individuals based in Russia and Eastern Europe, used foreign straw owners to purchase over 30 small U.S. medical supply companies already enrolled with Medicare using stolen identities of more than 1 million Americans. The group submitted fake claims for equipment that was neither ordered nor delivered. The proceeds were laundered through shell companies in cryptocurrency to accounts in Singapore, Pakistan, Israel, and other countries.
Wow. And let's see what we got here. In case those of you may be wondering how much $15 billion is, let's go with, here's some countries. Moldova, the Congo, Mauritius, is that how you pronounce that? Kyrgyzstan, and Georgia all have GDPs at or around 15 billion.
I wasn't lying.
Several small countries. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, that's over by
It's somewhere.
Afghanistan,
on the map.
Tajikistan, over that part of the world. But yeah, I mean, look, the amount of money, it's a big dollar amount, but this really should make people think, if this much in this one particular scam that they're talking about, or what is it, healthcare fraud. So just in healthcare fraud that they found these, can you imagine how much there is throughout the rest of the government? You know, it's probably on the order. I mean, it's possible that Musk was right, that you could get rid of $1 trillion worth of waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, it seems like a lot, but maybe you could. I don't know.
I believe it.
These people were living large.
Transnational.
For years.
If they could get rid of $2 trillion from Doge, we would have closed the deficit. But they came. What'd they end up closing out at? Like $200 billion.
This is why I'm scared to go to Loudoun County restaurants. Because like we used to. I'm kidding, by the way, but the joke is, they got some of the best. Look, if you were trying to find where the capital city of the Hunger Games is, it is Loudoun County, Virginia. Like McLean, Reston. What else you got? Alexandria,
Chevy
Sterling,
Chase.
Chevy Chase, Leesburg,
Bethesda.
That's Maryland.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
But that's like second round. You know, it's like it does count. Basically, all of the people who are, well, I shouldn't say all, but many of the people who are defrauding the government through these NGO schemes as lawyers and stuff like this are living in these areas. And so they got some of the best restaurants ever. What I'm going to shout them out. Barcelona, the tapas restaurant in Reston, is hands down like one of the best restaurants I've ever been to. And they're really good people, and they're very nice to me, and they're fans. So I will shout them out. They are not on the bad side of this. But jokingly, it's like, I'm going to go there and there's going to be some guy, like a homeless guy, and it's going to be like, I used to make $15 million a year. And he's going to look at me and be like, it's you.
Your fault.
And I'm going to be like,
I would have made 16 this year if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
you helped Trump win and he took everything from us. Yeah. But that's the amount of houses. Apparently people are saying there's a surge in homes for sale in these areas where all the people defrauding the government are now like, time to leave. Yeah, got to get out of here.
I mean, you hear a lot of that kind of like rumors or scuttlebutt or whatever. I would really like to find some kind of solid numbers about if there really is.
Right after.
People are actually leaving and stuff. I hope so.
I'm going to shout out my friend Lauren Rogue Lou 18. She actually, right after Trump was elected, she was sending me a list. All of a sudden, all of these multi-million-dollar homes were going up for sale in Alexandria and surrounding areas. And it's like all of a sudden it was all at once.
To be fair, some of it's probably legit. Like if you're working for an NGO and there's an actual contract that you have, and it's a real contract, and you're like, yeah, Trump's going to cancel that contract, so we should probably pack up and leave. I'm sure there's a lot of legitimate sales that are happening every time an administration turns over into a new, Democrat, Republican. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people run for the hills in these areas. Bethesda, what do you got? Alexandria, of course. What else do you have? Oxon Hill.
I don't know that one.
Yeah,
I've even heard of Oxon Hill.
that's where National Harbor is.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Let me tell you guys something. You already know the answer, but where do you think the highest grossing individual casino is in the United States?
Yeah, it's not Vegas. It's
not
probably
Vegas.
It's probably in Maryland.
It is in Maryland. It is DC's National Harbor.
Oh.
So at least that's a couple years ago they were reporting this. I think they say outside of Vegas and Atlantic City, the highest grossing individual casino is DC's National Harbor.
Big
And I got questions about their poker room. Not that they're doing anything wrong, but I've made this point. If they have a room inside DC National Harbor where they play. Sometimes it's so for those that don't know poker. When someone says the numbers like 1, 2, 2, 5, 3, or 5, 10, those define what are called blind bets that you're forced to make. So if you're sitting down, there's, let's say you're playing with 8 players, it's a max table. Typically, sometimes they do 9. There's a button called the dealer button that moves around every time a hand is dealt and ends. They move the button once over. The 2 spaces right in front of it is the small and the big blind. You are forced to make a $1 bet or a $2 bet. And then if you want to play the game, you look at your card, say, I'll play. You put in at least $2 or more, right? In that room, they play what's called 25-50, meaning you are required at least once per round to bet $75. And this usually means that if someone's going to raise, they're going to go 2.5 to 3 times. So the first bet will be $75. And then you'll end up, so I'll put it this way. It's a $10,000 minimum buy-in. It's in a private room you can't see inside of. Sometimes they play 10-25 a little bit lower, but it's basically the same thing. Here's my point. If you're a oil executive and you're trying to send some money to a politician of some sort, maybe not the politician directly, but maybe a super PAC without having it on the books, you sit down at the table and you look at your cards and there's no cameras and there's walls and no one can see who's in there. And you go, oh boy, I got a real good hand. I will bet $50,000. And then the recipient of said illicit money goes, my hand is much better than yours. I will go all in for $200,000. And then the guy who wants to donate goes, rats, you got my bluff. I fold. You win my $50,000.
Hey, how easy is that?
And then he says, don't forget. Now, I'm not saying they actually do that. I'm just saying I would not be surprised if poker tables are the means by which bribery happens in D.C.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Maybe not the actual representatives, but maybe their staff or friends
Lawyers.
of theirs, exactly, lawyers, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Hacks, things like that.
And really, it's a situation of like, how could you possibly prove it?
And
You can't.
Yeah.
not everybody can do art like Hunter Biden.
That's right.
Exactly.
Not everybody has that kind of, visual talent.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's jump to this next story because there's so much going on. We got this from The Guardian. Trump's Justice Department issues directive to strip naturalized Americans of citizenship for criminal offenses.
Let's go.
Oh, my God.
Let's go.
Yo,
Send them home.
it is past. Trump is cranking up the knob, and we got to 11 a while ago with the Doge and everything, and now he's just ripping the knob off. Here's what they say.
Love it.
The Trump admin has codified its efforts to strip some Americans of their U.S. citizenship in a recently published DOJ memo that directs attorneys to prioritize denaturalization for naturalized citizens who commit certain crimes. The memo, published on June 11th, calls on attorneys in the department to institute civil proceedings to revoke a person's U.S. citizenship if an individual either illegally procured naturalization or procured naturalization by concealment of a material fact or by willful misrepresentation. Holy crap.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
So I'm sorry, you want to keep reading?
At the center of the move are the estimated 25 million U.S. citizens who immigrated to the country after being born abroad, according to data from 2023, and it lists 10 different priority categories for denaturalization. According to the memo, those subjected to civil proceedings are not entitled to an attorney like they are in a criminal case, and the government has a lighter burden of proof in civil cases than they do in criminal ones. The memo claims such efforts will focus on those who were involved in the commission of war crimes, extrajudicial killings, or other serious human rights abuses, and naturalized criminals, gang members, or indeed any individuals convicted of crimes who pose an ongoing threat to the U.S.
Yes.
Wow.
So there's two ways to look at this. One is naturalization is a privilege. It's not a right.
Yes.
And right now, the statutes for that the naturalization process is laid out by Congress, Article 1, Section 8. And it's residency, good moral character, language proficiency, and passing a civics test, right? Good moral character. All right. Mm-hmm. So there's an argument that you can revoke citizenship if you violate, if you're not a good moral character, and if you're breaking the law, then you can't. But then at the same time, it has to be, since Congress has the power of naturalization, it would have to be written into they would have to write a law. So this is something that Trump can do by executive order, and then Congress can make a law to support that, to codify his executive order.
Dude, I was talking about it this morning. We talked about it last week. We actually stumbled into it. The ACLU's lawsuit, the class action on birthright citizenship,
Love this.
has created a either either you ban abortions or birthright citizenship is de facto out. So basically what happens is, I'll keep it short because I talked about it a lot, but it's massive. They argued that the class to be protected is future persons. All persons born on or after, all persons born on or after, and future persons. If future persons are certified as a class, this means that the unborn have legal standing to be represented in a court of law. And if that's the case, how can you argue you can kill someone before they've had a hearing before a judge? In the instance of like the Terry Schiavo case going back, saying this person has to be represented, or they say that future persons cannot have legal standing. And then, of course, abortion is still where it's at. But that means no one can sue on behalf of the unborn for citizenship.
Yep.
And so then Trump just says you don't get it.
This is my favorite.
And they're not citizens.
This is my favorite dilemma for the left that I've heard of in a long time. You know.
But anyway.
Don't let your enemy. What is it? Don't let your enemy make a mistake.
No.
Don't interrupt your
Don't
enemy.
interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake.
right.
Yeah, you give them enough rope,
So-
they'll hang themselves.
Yep.
We've got the memo right here. They've got 10 criteria that was mentioned in the article. They say individuals who pose a potential danger to national security, terrorism, espionage, etc. Individuals who engage in torture, war crimes, or human rights violations. Individuals who further or further the unlawful enterprise of criminal gangs, transnational criminal organizations, drug cartels. Individuals who committed felonies that were not disclosed during the naturalization process. That's massive.
Eat it.
Yeah, because if they don't disclose that, then
That's
they lied.
already a law on the books. Yep.
And there are people who probably fled their home country because they committed crimes.
Yes.
Individuals who committed human trafficking, sex offenses, or violent crimes. Individuals who engage in various forms of financial fraud against the U.S. That's going to be massive.
Eat it.
Because they're look, a lot of people play dirty games thinking, I'll get away with it. It's fine. You know, maybe on their taxes, they file something they know is false or whatever, but they think, what's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to be like, okay, we'll get out. What else we got? Fraud against private individuals. Acquiring naturalization through government corruption, fraud, or material misrepresentations.
Ilhan Omar's a worry.
Wow.
Allegedly.
Through corruption.
Yeah, no incest. Talking about Ilhan Omar.
He might. I mean, is he going to have the balls to do it? Because I'd love to see it.
I hope so.
Let's see. Cases referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office in connection with pending criminal charges. Any other case referred to the civil division and the division that determines to be sufficiently important to pursue. Now, here's the best part. There's actually 3 other points made by this memo about what they plan to do. And that's combating discriminatory practices and policies, actually 4 others. Ending anti-Semitism. Additionally, a very huge priority for the DOJ. Protecting women and children, and ending sanctuary jurisdictions, which legitimately is massive. And they mentioned that's going to be a priority for this DOJ. And so, holy smokes, man.
This is great.
I maybe because Trump was trying to gear up for MAGA month,
Yeah,
and he
right.
was like, we're going to make it so that the 4th is the best. That's why they started to make all these announcements right the Monday week of 4th of July.
Hopefully.
I am going to eat an extra cheeseburger off the grill for in celebration.
Can't wait for cheeseburgers. Look, this is all just absolutely wonderful stuff. Anything that we can do to get rid of criminal aliens or criminals that are not from the United States, naturalized citizens, if you're breaking the law, send them back.
This might prevent a lot of people from coming too.
Yes.
Like, oh,
again,
wow, I'm not going to get away with all that stuff I thought I
honestly,
could get away with.
that's the real important part of this, in my opinion, because the idea,
Vaccine for immigration.
getting people to leave, getting people to voluntarily go.
Yep.
And I've talked about this a bunch, and there are people out there that are like, oh, nobody would ever self-deport. Nobody would ever do that. Oh, why would they do that, et cetera? Because you made it really difficult for them to be here. Mm-hmm. Go after the employers that'll hire them. Mm-hmm. Go after their remittances. The fact that the big beautiful bill doesn't have a 50% tax and remittances is an abomination. This is a terrible idea.
What if they just announced that they're charging Ilhan Omar and like literally nobody else? They're like, based on this memo, Ilhan, you're under arrest, and that's all.
I mean, I want more, but that's
Sweet July
great
4th,
comic value.
Would she have lied if that whole thing with her brother? Would she have lied for naturalization, or would her brother have lied? Did they both lie?
They both had to, right?
Well,
Both had to lie?
this is fraud against the U.S. government. It qualifies.
No, I know, and there's already, but it's not even the memo. It's that's part of the Congress's already written naturalization process. They've already outlined this. They've already written laws for it, and that'd just be enforcing laws that already exist.
I believe so, yeah.
It wouldn't even come down to an executive order or the memo.
Well, I mean, like I said, anything that we can do to get people
They just have to enforce laws. A lot of it is enforcing laws that already exist.
I would like to read this passage from 6 years ago. Can you believe it's been 6 years from the Minnesota Star Tribune? The Star Tribune is a paper of great record. Like it is not some rant. This is the actual well-known paper in Minnesota. They say, new documents revisit questions about Rep. Ilhan Omar's marriage history. And they say, new investigative documents released by a state agency have given fresh life to lingering questions about the marital history of Rep. Ilhan Omar and whether she once married a man, possibly her own brother, to skirt immigration laws. I want to stress this. The Minnesota Star Tribune is not a conservative paper. It is a Democrat paper saying she possibly married her own brother. This allegation against her has merit. When the Democrats come out and say it's BS, a conspiracy, they announce it. No, shut up. That's because they're biased. I'm not saying she did marry her brother. I'm saying this has merit and could be investigated, should be investigated. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the case of the investigation, the DOJ comes out and says, yes, she married her brother. And isn't her brother gay?
I have no idea.
Well, they didn't consummate it then.
Which means
Well, this is more
something
than I want.
better, I guess. Better that they didn't.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good that they didn't. So it's been
You have no proof, though.
true. Well, maybe he's
Sorry,
allegedly gay.
They mentioned she's denied them as baseless rumors, but it's been ongoing. Question service again. This is from 2019, mind you. In a state probe of campaign finance violation showing that Omar filed federal taxes in 2014 and 15 with her current husband, Ahmed Hersey, while she was still legally married to but separated from Elmi. Although she has legally corrected the discrepancy, she has declined to say anything about how or why it happened.
How do you accidentally marry your brother?
Whoopsie.
What had happened
Yeah.
was
What happened was, look, again, if there is enough evidence to merit an investigation, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it, because any kind of breaking the law by the government, I want to investigate. And then
Do we then void anything she's ever voted on? What about her kids?
what about, do her kids get to stay?
Yeah.
I would say no, because she was here illegally, and
she'll be given the choice to take her kids with her, and most of them do.
Well,
Who's
her
the father
her
of her
daughter
kids,
is
though?
20-something years old.
Oh, then
who's the father of her kid?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Brother.
If he wasn't,
brother.
gross. If he was not a citizen, then I would just say, well, then they all gotta go.
Yeah.
But if he's a citizen, then it's like, all right, I would.
But
say,
did she
okay.
marry a white guy? Is she one of the squad that married a white guy?
I mean, didn't they all?
Probably a citizen.
If I understand correctly, they all.
Her daughter was born in Minnesota.
Effeminate boyfriends.
Her daughter, it's Ahmed Hersey, and Ilhan Omar are her parents, and she's 22. She was born in Minneapolis. She has a Wikipedia page. You know, and she only does because she protested, and her mom is Ilhan Omar. It was funny, though, because people were like, she has a 20-year-old daughter? And it's like, yeah, she's 40, dude. Like, millennials are so traumatized from not having kids, they can't comprehend that 40 is old.
40's not that old.
Yes, it is. I just turned 40. I'm old. I feel old. Sorry.
It is. I was telling people, like, there's this pro skater named Sean Hover. He's fantastic. And he's, you know, I think he's 39 or 38. And he said, I couldn't skate today. I had to tell my friends that I hurt my ankle. And they're like, how'd you hurt your ankle? And he goes, driving.
Yeah, bro. I've had some sneezes that took out my back. We're middle-aged. 40.
I
know.
Maybe beyond.
So
Honestly.
you're all young whippersnappers here.
Yeah.
And
Phil's got false teeth.
I know I don't have false teeth, but I do have. I have some joints that
Me too.
have seen better days. So
I threw out my finger today.
what?
I don't know how I did it.
Welcome to Oldcast IRL.
It
And
was,
I already know there's a bunch of like 50 and 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds watching and be like, you're not old. You know what's funny is like every conversation I've ever had from my 30s on, you know, it's like some older person's, I wish I was 30. I wish I was 40. It's like, yeah, I'm 40.
All relative.
Well, I'm 39, but, you know, basically 40. Yeah.
When do you turn? When's your birthday?
March 9th.
Okay.
I just turned 39.
Yeah.
Can you believe it's July already?
I don't really want to talk about it.
Almost a year since a failed assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and we still don't have like real answers. It's insane to me. I was just thinking about that today.
Can we say aliens because it'll get more clicks for your show?
I think so. Yeah. Tune in later tonight, 10 p.m. Aliens came down in Butler, Pennsylvania. That's the only explanation, honestly, because we don't know anything. They burned the body immediately. No
which
one
is
else.
totally a normal thing to do.
Insane. There was an investigation going on. And they cremated the body before that was even done. It's bizarre.
Totally normal.
Yep.
They did that with Sandy Hook shooter too.
Yeah, that one's also weird.
And again, why? You know, not why, but I'm still hopeful that the FBI is actually looking into it because there is a lot of questions left to be answered. You know, or that have gone unanswered.
A ton of answers that we need. Pretty important day.
You know, you think
Pretty important
I'm
day.
sure Donald Trump will call for them to reopen it or,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure it's open, but like do more. I want to know
Maybe
more
on the
about this.
anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect the Democrats to just be like, okay, well, you know, it happened and we've got all the information that we need. Like that seems, you know,
If it happened to them, though.
Oh, we got a correction. Joe says McLean and Reston are in Fairfax County.
Oh,
Is that for real? I mean, that's my bad. What'd you say?
McLean.
Oh, wait a minute. You're wrong. No, he's right. It gave me a different one. It's in Fairfax County. You are correct. All right. Let's just make sure we wrap all those counties in together, including, you know, wherever Bethesda is. I don't know.
Bethesda.
Maryland,
I
Virginia.
just-
And all those
like that.
counties around D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Loudoun is the highest, like it's like the wealthiest on average, highest median income in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what these people are doing.
Golden tickets.
Lawyers.
Healthcare.
Lawyers. Let's jump to the next story, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening. The Senate has begun its vote on Trump's massive bill as Republicans race towards the final passage. But everybody's kind of pissed. A lot of bad stuff happened.
There's a lot of
Phil,
them.
what's going on with my short-barreled rifles and my suppressors?
So they have removed the tax. The parliamentarians said that the tax is acceptable under the Byrd rule. They can change the tax. They can make the tax zero. But that's not good enough because the real egregious parts of the NFA aren't really the tax. It's the registration, the fingerprints, the passport photo, and the fact that you can't travel interstate with an SBR or an SBS without notifying the ATF. So, and especially like around here, like we live in an area where you can easily jump from, you know, into one state to another with just by going through some
Trying
background.
to get to the other part of the state you left.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it shouldn't be a felony.
Yeah.
Just for traveling. So that is still the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act have not been fully put back in, but they will be reducing the $200 tax. This does make the situation where if you were to get it to the Supreme Court, which I don't think the Supreme Court would actually grant cert for this, but if you were to be able to get this in front of the Supreme Court, then they would have to come down and say, okay, you can't regulate like this because the NFA has always been justified under the argument that it is a tax. Multiple times throughout history, the NFA has been in front of the Supreme Court and they've said, this is a tax. This is a tax. So
real quick, additionally, it is being reported by many that they were going to remove 1.4 million illegal aliens from Medicaid, and now they will not.
This alone is reason enough to say no. And say, do it again.
There's a ton.
Yeah,
of
but why are they letting the parliamentarian do any of this stuff?
I don't know.
The parliamentarian has an advisory role, but
Yes.
it comes down to the Senate's integrity. If they don't listen to her, then it comes down to like their pride or their ego or I don't know, something like that. So what they do, they'll listen to her, and I think it's only been challenged maybe once or twice, and one of those times they reneged at the last minute and pulled back.
Well, I think actually this person exists as a stopgap to prevent the people from actually having their will be met through the Senate. It allows senators an excuse. The reason they likely put the parliamentarian in with these rules and procedures was so they could say, what if all of our constituents demand a law that we must block? Then let's blame bureaucracy and say, oopsie, we couldn't do anything about it, so we can still get reelected.
She was installed by Harry Reid. I think that there should be a law that if the guy who installed you died of old age, maybe your time is up.
Look, if I understand correctly, and I might have this wrong, but if I understand correctly, the changing of rules, right? So the reason the Republicans are hesitant to just fire her and change and get someone else or just ignore her is because changing rules like that can end up backfiring. And the example that I keep hearing is how Donald Trump ended up getting the Supreme Court nominees that he did, because the Democrats had changed the rules to get rid of the filibuster.
Yep.
And then
Harry Reid again.
Mitch McConnell used the fact that they didn't have that in order to, help the Republicans to get multiple Supreme Court justices. And I might have the details kind of loose, but it was changing the rules. The situation is changing the rules like that can really backfire on you. And if you change the rules, the Democrats will do it in the future. But the argument is kind of moot because the Democrats are going to do it in the future anyways.
Let's play Jeopardy. And the answer is the amount of Senate parliamentarians that have served since the founding of the United States.
69.
No.
Damn.
420?
No.
Okay.
5.
No. First of all, the reason you are all wrong, no matter what your answer was, because the correct answer would be what is.
They came up with it recently.
You'd say what is.
We're playing Jeopardy.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's 8. 8 parliamentarians going back to 1935, where the first 2 served for decades, nearly 30 years. Charles Watkins, Floyd M. Riddick served for 10 years.
Was that FDR? 1935?
Right before.
Maybe. I don't know. 35.
FDR did a lot of corrupt shit, so.
Oh, yeah.
And then you basically had, this is hilarious, Robert Dove, then Alan Fruman, then Robert Dove, then Alan Fruman.
Oh.
And then Elizabeth McDonough.
Wow.
I seriously think the decision exists because they were like, look, we don't want to give the American people what they want. We want to rule through elitism and force, and we need excuses.
Has there been 8 separate people or 8 altogether?
8. There's been 6.
6 people.
Yes.
Cool.
But you're right. So clarification. You got Charles, Floyd, Murray, Dove, Fruman, and McDonough.
So
6.
the last 100 years, just about, came down to 6 people controlling the Senate. Incredible.
Yeah.
That's insane. They got to get rid of it. I don't care if it backfires. They just got to stop this.
I want them to overrule the parliamentarian in this context as well.
Yeah.
And I because I don't think that there is a situation where, oh, well, then the Democrats will do it. I don't think that exists. I think the Democrats will do whatever they want
cheat
to
no matter
do.
what.
They will use power when they have access to power. So I think that they should. But it is a legitimate concern, and I understand it.
Totally.
But I do think that they should pass the bill as the House had it. They should make sure that transgender operations are not funded. They should make sure that illegals cannot get Medicare. That was one thing that just drove me nuts. Like the what's her name from Maine voted to allow illegal immigrants to get Medicaid. This is insane. Why are we paying for medical care for illegal immigrants? That's insane. That alone should be enough.
They can change the rules whenever they want. Okay, nuke the filibuster, do it. And then everyone goes, but what if they change it? They're going to, what are you talking about? They tried to arrest Trump's lawyers. What's the worst going to happen? I'm so tired of these excuses for Republicans to be do-nothings with their hands under their asses.
I voted for wrecking balls. I want things to be taken out. Is the AI thing still in this bill? No regulations for 10 years? Like, you know about this?
Palantir?
Well, not Palantir. It's just any AI. There's no...
Yeah, that was still...
It's federal government overriding states' rights.
Yes.
So they can't do any AI
A lot
regulations
of
for a
these,
decade.
A lot of these, yes, exactly. A
Wait,
lot of these are states' rights.
Shane, what are you even mad about? 10 years doesn't even matter. They only need 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening right now. Everyone's going along with it anyway.
I want to read this exchange between me and Thomas Massey. Shout out Thomas Massey. Excellent congressman. All right. Thomas Massey wrote, you were promised a big, beautiful bill would not do these things. Prohibit welfare for illegal aliens. Stop funding sex changes for kids. End registration of suppressors. Defund Planned Parenthood for 10 years. Implement the REINS Act and reduce the deficit. So I asked, did the House put these provisions in and the Senate took them out? And he wrote, yes. But lest ye blame the Senate. Watch the House now vote for the lobotomized version 2.0 product. The initial promises got pro-life, pro-border security, and pro-gun groups to whip for version 1.0. House reps voted for it, got pregnant, and now they will vote for version 2.0.
It's frustrating to think that would happen. I wish that that the Republicans had more spine. And to be honest with you, this is going to have an effect in the midterms.
I kind of want them to go the other way. Like, just give me one of the extremes. Because, like, either speed it up or get it, or just put a stop to it. And so at this point, I'm like, give every illegal immigrant free health care. Just do it. Just give them all. Just
Let's trans
open book.
all the
No
kids.
guns. No guns. Mandatory transgender surgeries. You know what? I'm going to big ask everything from now on. Whatever I want, I'm going to ask something 10 times. Deport Americans.
Yeah.
I don't care. To
giant ass.
El Salvador.
Yeah. Not the big ass anymore.
So anybody who commits a crime, you get deported to South Sudan.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Perfect.
Jaywalking, boom, gone.
Fine with it.
Right to jail.
Right to jail.
In South Sudan. And
I'm not
then,
going to believe this.
And then when people are as a little bit extreme, will say, okay, fine. Only the illegal immigrants then.
Oh, okay.
The Americans can stay.
Yeah.
That's my compromise.
Yep.
I learned from Trump.
I think Trump is so focused on just the branding of the big, beautiful bill that he wants it to pass. And there's so many things in this thing that are terrible.
I think he just wants $80 billion to deport everybody.
Yeah.
Tim,
And denaturalize people like Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor.
Tim, your method works. My daughters wanted a brother, and they wound up with 3 kittens. It's very effective.
Yeah. Or 3 kittens or 1 dog. It's
Exactly.
equivalence,
That's the math.
That's right.
I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. I traded a dog and they gave me 3 kittens change.
Yeah, that's fair.
3 kittens and change. That's very good.
That'll be 1 cat.
Same amount of work.
I mean, real quick, while we're talking about Trump doing things, I do want to say he is about to go down for the opening ceremony for Alligator Alcatraz. Are you going? Are you going?
I'd love to go. It is south of me. I had named it Gator Gitmo.
Oh, that's good.
I'm good. Somebody said it was Alligatratraz. I can't even pronounce it. Alligatraz.
Oh, that's good.
It's like, you
Yeah,
crush
Transformer.
alligators. Yeah, you turn into one thing. That's incredible.
I know there are people upset about that as well, but look, man, if it's...
I don't
happy
think
they
that's...
Yeah, I am.
I'm cool with
It's
that.
not cruel and unusual punishment. People live in the Everglades.
Yeah.
So it's, what are you saying? Like there's no,
It's
there's
in
no
the
violation.
Everglades.
It's in the Everglades. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surrounded by
It's kind of
gators.
wild. Like, people don't know the Everglades is this big mass of just like largely untouched land.
Pythons
Crazy
and
swamp.
alligators.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dangerous.
It's alligator paradise, man.
Yeah.
If you're a gator, you're like, this is all I ever wanted.
It's anaconda paradise and python paradise.
No, dude, Florida's great. I took one of those What are those
Airboat.
pontoon?
Yeah, pontoon boats.
Yeah, and then we drove around, and there were alligators everywhere, and they were looking at us.
Oh, yeah.
They were mad.
I love it down there.
Did you boop their noses?
No.
You are not a true Floridian, Tim.
Did you boop a gator's nose?
No, I'm not a true Floridian either.
No, we just went.
I'm a
we-
Massachusetts implant.
And then they taught us. The tour guide taught us about what is it called? Like Los Arbores de la Muertos or something like that. Yeah, I don't speak Spanish. But the Tree of Death.
Probably just swore at somebody.
What is it? Let me look it up.
Tree of Death.
Yes, that sounds kind of like that holiday from Coco.
It's
Yeah. That's a good movie.
Yes. Oh,
De los Arboles Muertos.
Don't say it
Los
3 times. This might
Arboles
be a curse.
Muertos. There's like a fruit that it melts your flesh. And the natives, to execute people, would tie them to it and then just leave. And then when it rains, whatever that chemical is washes down all over you and burns your skin, and you just slowly die.
The perimeter
But
of
it's,
alligator Alcatraz should be with that.
Hold on, it's like the apple of
Those
death.
trees.
The apple.
where does it grow? Native Americans. I guess those were all over, but is there a certain tribe that used that?
Manchineel, little apple of death. Oh, yeah, it's Manzanilla de la Muerte. That's what it is.
So
Manzanilla
would
de
it
la
been
Muerte.
like the Navajo or
No, down there. I don't think the Navajo.
know.
Not down there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Seminoles,
Seminoles.
are Florida.
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
Seminole.
Here you go. Look at it. This is it, I guess.
The Spanish speaking.
Least concern. It's endangered in Florida, really. All parts of the tree contain a strong toxin and other skin irritants. Standing beneath the tree during rain will cause blistering of the skin from mere contact with the liquid. Even a small drop of rain with the sap in it will cause the skin to blister. Burning the tree may cause ocular injuries. Contact with this milky sap, latex, produces bullous dermatitis and keratoconjunctivitis.
Sounds awful.
I
Yikes.
would go hunt down and try to save this tree, but bad things happen when women touch apples.
It says the fruit is potentially fatal if eaten.
Nice.
Yeah, it tastes sweet. They told us about it. What is it? Curacao? How do you pronounce that? Curacao? Marked with a red X on the tree indicate danger. In the French Antilles, the tree is often marked with a red band. Yeah, Florida's crazy, man.
Sucks you're the first guy to eat that thing.
Apparently, that's the story they told
Australia.
us.
Oh, really?
That, like, the Spanish came down and they were like, hey, look, I found an apple. And then he was like, ah.
Yeah, we're the Australia of America.
Totally.
With our weird animals and fruits that kill you.
Crime. Real crime history.
Remember that guy who
Florida
ate?
man.
Remember that guy who ate another guy?
No.
Oh yeah, that was
Wait,
Florida.
Indian guy?
Was he
That was
on
Florida.
crocodile?
Yeah, he was on bath salts.
Yeah, crocodile.
Oh yes.
Eating that guy's face.
Yeah.
And we were like, did the zombie apocalypse finally start?
That was
And
a
we're like,
trend
of
for a
course it's
minute.
going to start in Florida, so
Maybe-
it didn't shock us.
Maybe we just seal off Florida and just, that's Alcatraz.
If
It might
you
have to
insist.
grow that big with all the illegals we have. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand.
Ron DeSantis just becomes a warden.
He needs an eye patch. Get one from Dan Crenshaw.
Just because he's the warden.
Yeah, I feel like
There
he
you
needs
go.
it.
Alligator Alcatraz.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. I've been very pro Gitmo, but I mean, this is nice too. I think Gitmo is actually better because it's not actually in the U.S. It's.
The torture stuff's weird though.
I didn't say we had to torture them.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just want to put it out there.
Oh, okay.
Torture stuff.
Yeah,
Like
torture stuff.
torturing people in Gitmo and
Yeah.
the hoods and
Probably
the
shouldn't do that.
waterboarding.
I mean, that was a long time ago, man.
George Bush going down there.
Yeah,
and
I'm
putting
not-
hoods on people.
We don't have to
I
torture
imagine.
anybody. They just go
Let's
down
let's
there.
let's pick this up. We got this from Fox News. Trump to visit Alligator Alcatraz for grand opening of swampy Everglades detention center for illegal aliens.
I want to
We're the
see him with a
worst
big
scumbags.
with big scissors in the red.
That's
red
exactly.
tape doing the
Yes.
grand opening.
Yes. I hope. There's alligators
Wow.
with
No,
him.
wait.
Alligators in top hats.
Actually, I disagree. I think it should be the ceremonial rolling out the last chain link fence.
There you go. Okay.
Something because it's not open to the public now. It's sealed off.
True. I do
Or the final brick.
a photo of AOC crying outside of it.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, someone photoshopped that.
Can we convince her to go and do that?
I'm sure it probably doesn't need much convincing.
Where is Alligator Alcatraz?
It's near
Disney.
it's
That'd be hilarious.
no.
Very close
but
to Disney.
I like the way you're thinking. No, it's near Miami. It's a little north of Miami.
Incredible.
Wow. So that's way down there.
Yeah, look at this.
So is it by Alligator Alley?
Look
That's
at
Alligator
this.
Alley cutting
Big
across.
spot here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this is how crazy. Like the Everglades is literal nothing.
Yeah, dude.
And you know what really bothers me the most is that You could put a shopping mall right there, a Walmart right
Be a
there.
floating shopping mall.
There could be a Dave and Buster's right over here. You know what's going on?
All this
Look,
stuff
just
would
zoom
have
in, and what is
Zoom
that?
in. Are you going to find
Look at what is this?
some alligators?
Some shrubs. Nobody needs that.
all wet.
Do you remember in the 90s, I think, a plane crashed into the Everglades?
Yeah.
Yeah, horrifying. That's
Yeah.
like the worst way. Like your plane crashes into snakes and alligators.
Yeah.
Look at this. It's just nothing here. It's just reeds and swamp.
Yep.
Have
'Cause
you
I
driven-
used to live in the Redlands in Miami, which for those that aren't familiar, it's like, where is it? Where's Homestead? There it is. So Redland. So I had a house right down here briefly for about a year when I was working at Fusion, and it's like you just seriously we just get in the car and drive for 5 minutes, and then it's just literally just shrubs, dirt, and alligators.
Yep.
chilling.
I think Homestead is technically included, and parts of it are included in the Everglades.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's where Obama was locking up all them kids. Homestead was where they had the immigrant child detention center.
Really?
And it was like a big deal, and Obama made it, and then Trump inherited it, and they were like, oh no, Trump, why are you locking up kids? And he was like, I am? Oh, I didn't realize that Obama was doing it. I am?
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't think this is a bad thing. I like the idea of having more prisons for criminals because it's
The worst scumbags.
Yeah, it
Trump
seems
said.
that there has been a almost a moratorium on imprisoning people, and I think that should end if you're here, particularly if you're
Oh,
you're illegal.
what?
Whoa.
I just looked up where it is. Let me zoom out. Where is this thing? Yo, it's like right in the middle.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
Perfect.
Apparently, it's like right over
Yeah,
here by the airport.
There you go. That's
It's
actually
by
what
the
that is.
airport,
What it is.
so they
Yeah.
can just
Right.
bust them right up there. Oh, wow.
What?
That is actually what it is.
true?
Like a level in GoldenEye.
I've seen pictures of the strip. Yeah.
Golden Eye. the
Or
landing strip
Fallout.
is in the alligator Alcatraz stuff.
I think that's where they built alligator Alcatraz.
Right. I looked it up, and this is what it told me where it's at.
Yeah.
That would make. Can you Google Earth? Can we like street view this thing? Let's go.
Can we set a lot down there for video?
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
We're going to alligator Alcatraz.
You know, that doesn't look nearly as swampy as I expected.
I think there has to be some solid land where they're building, probably.
Right.
No, we should
Makes
just
sense.
push them out of a helicopter.
But they should make swamps like Walt Disney did, but fill them with alligators.
Okay.
All right, here we
Put them in
go.
a life raft.
So I think this must be like where they're doing it. It is not as swampy as you'd think. Yep, there you go.
Like,
What is that?
is that Bigfoot?
What is that?
It's like some monster truck.
Gravedigger.
Awesome.
Oh, there you go.
I love Florida.
Yeah.
Alligator. Look at that. Alligator Alcatraz. And you got Ducey showing up.
It's official.
He's on vacation. He's retired to Florida, and now he just walks around Florida for Fox News. I'm not kidding. That's what he does. He's just walking around. I watch Fox and Friends every morning. And,
I like Fox and Friends.
yeah. You can't have a morning without your friends.
No, you can't. But I mean, like I said, this is a good thing. Ron DeSantis down there, he'll be taking care of the criminals.
I like that Alcatraz is just back, like in the collective consciousness. Just the word Alcatraz is back.
It is. There was rumors that they were talking about reopening Alcatraz, but
Right.
I think they decided
That was a big
it's-
story. Trump said he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Didn't they decide that it's going to be too much work or something like that? Or
Yeah, so
that-
they just might as well just build a new one in the middle of
Agreed.
alligators.
And also, I just literally don't care about anything the left says anymore. When what their concern about government and all of this stuff, I'm like, you've really lost all of the arguments entirely. Like, a society needs to be able to enforce its laws and its worldview and maintain what it wants. And so what ends up happening is we have these blasphemy laws, and you can't swear in public. And people are like, dude, it's not that big a deal, right? And over every decade, we slowly erode the moral foundation of the country. Any insinuation that we would in any way, even the tiniest degree, go back to enforcing what we morally believe in is called fascism or authoritarianism. And it's like, dude, you're literally sterilizing children, okay? Nah, we got to go back. We're going to start telling people you can't do that weird stuff in public. You can't be sterilizing kids.
How many leftist mayors released prisoners
Yeah.
at the beginning of lockdowns? I mean, New York City, they just
It's
opened
just-
the doors and are like, we don't need you in here.
I wonder if we've gotten to the event horizon of social decay, the point where you can't turn it around.
It does feel like that in certain places.
I think some states.
New York?
Some
Yes.
states, I think, can turn it around still, thanks to
Yeah.
states' rights. But there's states that they're picking up the slack for those states that aren't turning.
I will say New York's been there before. In the 70s, it was horrible there. Just a totally terrible place. But it seems to be getting back to that area, with the crime.
The ebb and
how
the flow.
insane
I guess it depends on who's running it.
Yeah, I mean, they're in for a rough ride if they get
Well, I mean, you've got
madman.
after the whole defund the police thing, and then if Mamdani does become the mayor and he actually institutes his own policies that he's proposing, there will be a significant increase in crime. It's already worse than it was 10 years ago, and he's back on the defund the police stuff. I think there's something like 40% of police are saying I'm going to retire or I'm going to quit if Mamdani gets elected.
It's Sodom and Gomorrah. Like the way his plan, the way he's like, we're going to have prostitutes everywhere. All the criminals we're going to release.
Hookers and crime.
There's not going to be any cops.
There will be a rise in vigilantes.
Yeah.
In that city and cities like it.
Oh, and they'll definitely put those guys in jail.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's why they'll wear
because no
masks
one's
and stuff,
above the
but they'll
law.
get them.
Because the criminals don't know any better, but you, as a normal citizen that goes out to try and stop them, you know better.
Yep.
So,
You have morals.
which is typical of. I mean, Solzhenitsyn. That's where I got that idea from. Solzhenitsyn would talk about the Soviet Union that way. You're expected as a good communist or good citizen, you're expected to know better. But the criminal, well, he wouldn't know better. You have to take care of him, which is the same kind of maternalism that you're seeing in the United States now, which is running rampant and actually causing so many problems in the U.S.
They outsourced tyranny so well during lockdowns that your neighbors just became tyrants overnight, and we're happy to to tell on you.
So yeah, I mean, yes, they did, and I think that is something that more people. I mean, I'm glad that people noticed and that they're seeing that, because that is exactly how the Soviet Union kept people in line. It's exactly how East Germany kept people in line. I heard stories of when the Berlin Wall fell. You could go and talk to, if you were arrested, you could actually go and find out who turned you in. And your stories about people that were living with people, and this woman that was like, oh, I'm going to go find, she spent 5 years or whatever in prison or whatever. She went down to find out, and it was the dude that she was still currently living with. Oh, like she had to go home and be in the same apartment with him, and he turned her in, and she spent, she was, I don't know if she was tortured or whatever, but she spent years in prison because of it. He's the one that turned her in. So the idea that people won't decide to embrace the authoritarian impulse, and it gets so bad, it's just like, oh, if I send this person in, I'll get an extra room in my house, or if I turn my neighbor in, or someone that I work with, I might get their job. Those kind of petty things are what people start doing. And that's why the fabric of society just completely falls apart. We talk about the United States, how, we want a high trust society, and that's what actually produces a good life for your societies. When you can, your neighbors aren't going to kick in your door or take your stuff if you forget to lock something up or whatever. If you have a society that might turn you into the government, all rules are off. The whole society, nobody trusts anyone, and it destroys the cohesion, not only, but it also destroys the kind of happiness that people have, because you can't feel content and safe that if you are always looking over your shoulder.
There was a restaurant nearby that went out of business, and we were surprised because we ordered from them, every couple of months. We every Friday we order food for everybody, and we try and vary out what's going to be. They went out of business. I was talking to locals why, and they said they couldn't find anybody to work there. And I was like, is that a joke? No, they couldn't find anybody to cook. They couldn't find anybody to serve, so they just shut down. They were actually doing really well. And I think when we talk about the event horizon of social collapse, young people are so entitled and lazy. And I don't mean every single young person. I'm saying that there is such a high density of entitled, lazy, I don't know, what's the right word? What's the word for like lacking passion, devoid of passion? That
complacency.
I don't know if it's complacency. They're
uninspired,
depressed, and uninspired. So what ends up happening now is this dependency has been created by the establishment over the past 30 years, where it's like, now you've got no choice but to import the third world because at least they'll do the jobs. Instead, we could have taught our young people the value of hard work and taking pride in their jobs, whatever those jobs may be. But instead, especially me growing up, the insinuation was always, you want to end up being a garbage man? Huh? You want to be a cook? You better not. And it's like, okay, geez, I won't. And now millennials are like, I ain't doing that. It's disrespectful or it's dishonorable.
That's what the people who were studying the population collapse with the mice, when it got to the edge of the civilization collapse.
Mouse-utopia?
Mouse utopia, and the beautiful ones, they would call them, when they would get to a certain point where it's about to collapse and the mothers are eating their young. Like mice would all of a sudden become homosexual, and then there'd be these mice who would just not go anywhere and just groom themselves, which I think of as like the rise in influencers that we have today, right? And I mean, there's people who be like, you can't look at mice as a way to study humans, but they were looking at the way the civilization was collapsing every time, and it's
then
insane.
When they would take mice that had what they call behavioral sync, and they would put them into a normal mouse society, they would not correct their behavior; they would spread it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
That's bad.
And those mice, we call them. There were the colloquial name of those mice experiencing behavioral sync were liberals.
That's right.
Were liberal mice.
Mom Donnie was his name. Yeah.
Mamdani was one of the leaders.
Right.
It's worth noting that the idea that that kind of attitude, whether it be in something like mice or a society, that kind of attitude does spread, and it's why you see people on the left behaving the way they do today. Because 25, 30 years ago, the left that we have today was not the same left. It was very different. The number of people that would have entertained socialist ideas or called themselves socialist openly, like they were vanishingly few, and nowadays. It's not.
Left of the 90s are Trump and RFK Jr.
Sort of, yeah, And nowadays it's all the rage, to at least in the urban areas and cities. And I think that part of why you see this stuff is because of cities, because of the way life in cities is now, because it's so expensive, and it's if you have debt from school and you can't find a job, I mean, it's got to be a nightmare. So it makes sense for people to be unhappy, and unhappy people want to change their situation. And if they have nothing, maybe tearing everything down is fine, because maybe I'll have something then. Or at the very least, all these people that have stuff won't have stuff, just like I don't have stuff. And so there's just all these terrible, terrible human impulses that get they get amplified, and people really latch onto them. And when you have that kind of society.
Yep. Nihilism breeds violence.
Yep.
And we saw it in the Summer of Love.
Absolutely.
People stopped caring about themselves. They had meaninglessness, and their only meaning was to destroy, like you're saying, tear everything down.
I saw somebody speaking in South Africa recently. I'm a little bit out of frame on this, but I saw someone speaking in South Africa recently saying that like the idea that everyone had to take from the white people was the wrong idea. No one ever came to South Africans, at least the ones who lived in South Africa after the ANC took over, and said to them, hey, you can go and build a bigger country, build a better country. They just said, oh, I must take it from the white people, I must take it from all of the British and the Indians, the Malays who also live in South Africa, because they have and I have nothing. No one ever went to them and told them, build more, make South Africa bigger, make it stronger, add to it. And I think that's what people need to be told. They can. Like Tim says, I was told not to do these jobs and stuff in high school, and like I didn't. I did both. I went to school and got my academic stuff. You're welcome, mom and dad. Thank you for bringing me to America. But beyond that, they like Tim said, I've seen so many kids that just don't want to do anything. But there's no hope. They have, but like I don't know what to tell them. But you have to work without hope. I had a little bit of hope when I was young too. But anyways,
let's jump to the story. We got this from PolitiFact. New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani is a communist. False.
Shocker, they're lying.
They wrote false. Despite the fact he has a tweet where he says, this is the kind of candidate New York needs, and it says hashtag communism. They go on to say in what may be the stupidest argument, but look, they're arguing to stupid people intentionally, okay? Smart people, they're going to figure it out, but they know that smart people aren't going to vote socialist because socialists are developmentally disabled. They say Zoran Mamdani, the 33-year-old who soared the lead, blah, 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 describes himself as a democratic socialist, but some politicians and social media posts falsely labeled him a communist. Nick Sorter, Ben Shapiro, Lee Stefanik, etc. They say Mamdani's platform calls for making transportation, housing, and groceries more affordable, but experts say he hasn't espoused key tenets of communism, such as government takeover of industry and private property. Mamdani is not a communist, wrote Anna Grismala Bus, Stanford University professor, saying communism involves a centrally planned economy with no market forces. Prices and quantities are set by a central government authority. There is no democratic political competition. Instead, a single party rules the country. He is not calling for any of this. In other words, if we can go full Godwin's law, she's basically saying that the argument would have been that Hitler isn't a fascist, tyrannical, genocidal maniac because he was only advocating for making Germany better because of and taking back historical lands that were stolen. If he was actually a genocidal maniac, he would be advocating right now before attaining power for the mass genocide. You get the point. Phil posted this, sent this to me earlier, the Lenin quote, "The goal of socialism is communism. Socialism is the mechanism by which you build a communist system. The end result of socialism is always communism because you can't have socialism. It doesn't work. It can't function in a market economy. So the moment you take any amount of the means of production and seize them, you destroy the market who can't compete with the guns you're pointing at people. And then you start centrally planning the economy and become a communist nation." They're arguing he's not communist because he's not advocating outright to destroy your way of life and take away your choice. He would never win if he did. Now, here's this great tweet. It's funny. Jamie Bonkowick says, "For F's sake, socialism is not communism. Capitalism, anybody can be rich. Communism, nobody can be rich. Socialism, anybody can be rich, but nobody should be poor."
That's so ridiculous.
And it's got 2 million views.
So infantile.
It is. It's.
This is somebody who's never actually read anything about socialism or communism.
Look, Mamdani has said that he said the end goal is to seize the means of production.
Well, my response was, when Mamdani said no billionaires shouldn't exist, she basically then just said he's a communist.
Yeah, I mean, what do you propose you do to make sure that there are no billionaires other than seize their property?
Which he said he wanted to seize the means of production at one point. They are targeting boomers and the silent gen with this as people who lived through the Red Scare. And they need to be like, oh no, like he's a communist. It's pretty obvious. So we need to write an article to calm these people down who are told communism is a dirty word, which it is. Yeah. But yes, I have this right here as a clip from an article. It says, Zoran Memdani attended Bank Street, a prestigious Manhattan private school that now costs as much as $66,000 a year for elementary school students. Perfect. Yeah. Communist who went to a Manhattan private school.
It's always that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this.
Even Karl Marx's father was paying his bills and wealthy, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
We've got this regular old comment. Divide and Conquer says, Tim defending the rich consolidation of power. I ask you, what is the difference between the rich consolidating power and politicians consolidating power? What is the difference between cult leaders consolidating? Nothing. It's literally all consolidation of power. I'll tell you this. The tendency among the rich to have worked for and earned that in some way versus politicians who lie, cheat, and steal to get it and cult leaders who lie, cheat, and steal to get it, I would prefer the meritocratic work-based system, despite the fact some people do get wealthy through corruption. Corruption is going to exist in any kind of power consolidation. Mm-hmm. At the bare minimum, a capitalist system takes a long time to become tyrannical, whereas a communist system snaps its fingers to become tyrannical. So that's the funny thing. Take your pick. If we go capitalism, in about 200 years, ultra-wealthy people give rise, start consolidating power, merging their companies, and then entrench themselves in the political establishment, and you get crony capitalism. That sucks. We can go for communism, in which snap your fingers, the party rules, and the crony, and you'll beg for crony capitalism. At least you had cheeseburgers. Or we can go socialism, which is let's not run into communism. Let's just give it a few years first.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Fabian socialists were not revolutionaries, right? They wanted to vote socialism in, but they were still looking for socialism. And socialism, again, like we said earlier, the goal of socialism is communism. Socialism is the state that leads you to communism.
Here's some questions socialists can't answer. Define the means of production. Anybody?
So property. Well, I would say any property that you can use to produce. I think that they say any property that can help you produce more property.
So your house.
Capital?
Your house is the means of production?
Well, it depends what you do with it, but I assume so.
Yeah. I mean, what if you have a 1 acre plot of land in a suburb and you start growing some herbs in your back room under special green lights and everything? You go to the grocery store, you buy some, or the hardware store, you buy some lamps, and you're like, I'm gonna grow some rare herbs that I can sell and make a bunch of money, and then you make enough money to buy the neighbor's house next to you and expand your operation. So is your house the means of production?
Yeah.
In which case, the argument is, if that is, and they'll never say this. They will never agree with you. They'll say, no, of course not. But
no, that's your personal property. That's not private property.
Right. It's personal. Okay. Well, I can produce, I can metal work or do carpentry in my garage. Is that the means of production? No. Okay. What if I have 2 garages? Yes. Okay. What if I have 1 garage as big as 2 and I built it myself? I don't know. There's no answer. I've asked socialists so many times because I'm like, bro, the means of production for me is a camera. I saved up, I bought a camera. In fact, I used a GoPro. It's a $300 GoPro. I would put it on top of my monitor and press the record button and then talk for 10 minutes and then just plug it in and transfer the footage to my computer. So my computer is the means of production. So I'm not allowed to own a computer now? They go, no, your computer is your personal property. Okay, well, I make millions of dollars doing that. Now I'm rich. What they're telling you is we're going to lie to you and claim other people are the bad guys so we can implement a communist system.
Yeah, and
Socialism is not a real thing. Socialism does not exist. Let me stress this again. Anybody claiming to be a socialist is lying because socialism literally does not exist. I'm going to say it again. Capitalism exists. Communism exists. Socialism can't exist. And I'm going to stress, the argument of socialism is the workers control the means of production, but no one can define the means of production.
It's any size. Didn't the Soviets go around taking even seeds out of people's houses during the famine when they were starving everyone to death? It was horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
like anything could go.
Yeah, during the Holodomor, if you were found with like a grain of wheat,
done,
they'd kill you.
Yeah. Done.
You know?
I think technically the 4 points of the means of productions are land, labor, capital, and technology. And they can make any of those things anything they want. Like you said, a grain of wheat, you get murdered because that's technically falls into one of those.
Yeah, they just move the goalposts to satisfy whatever they have to destroy and then own.
And also it's worth noting that when you're in a socialist socialist society, the government has the authority to do whatever they want. So they may say, "Oh no, your computer's not the means of production," until you produce something, and then they're like, "That's mine now," and whatever you made's mine too.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's land and natural resources, factories and infrastructure, machines and tools, raw materials and energy sources.
Yep.
All of those will be owned by everyone, aka the state, for the committee to decide on what to do with it. Yeah. So good luck having a hobby car. Good luck inventing something.
Imagine them with all the supercomputers and AI.
This is a funny thing. This is like every young adult future dystopia where it's like, I want to be an astronaut. Well, you can't because your job is goat crap shoveler. Like in a socialist society as they dictate, you would go to your committee and say, I have an idea for a new kind of engine and I need the materials to build it. And they go, you're not an engineer. Mm-hmm. You're a painter. And yes, I know, but I've been reading a lot about this. How? You don't have those books. You're not supposed to be reading those things. Mm-hmm. Answer is no. Get out.
Well, they're all like, I want to live on my commune and I want to paint and I want to farm on my commune. And I'm like, our commune.
And the one of the worst things about it is it destroys the motivation to do anything. Nobody wants to try if the government's just going to take it. If you can't have that, if you can't possess the profits of your labor, if you can't work and then actually better your life through that work, nobody wants to work.
We're there now, though.
Well,
this is. I think the state of the U.S. actually is to the point. One of the issues that's leading to social degradation is, look, progressive tax system is simple. If you make, I'm gonna use rudimentary. Let's pull the tax brackets. Show me progressive U.S. tax brackets. Let's do the actual hard numbers. So the first bracket I think is here we go. $0 to $11,925. You get taxed at 10%. So from 11 to 48, it's 12. From 40 to 103, it's 22. From 103 to 197, it's 24. Everything above 626 is 37%. What this means is that if you run your own business, salary is immaterial. So if you make widgets at a factory, you're then sitting there going, okay, if I work 40 hours this week, I'm going to make $100,000 by the end of the year and get taxed at 22%. If I decide to stay open on weekends so I can increase my output, that will put me in the next bracket. The next 100,000, I lose 2%. Every time I decide to work harder and expand my business, the return on my investment decreases. So it's not an exponential growth curve. It's not a parabolic growth curve. It's not a straight line. It's actually a diminishing return until you plateau and you say, what's the point of doing work anymore? Mm-hmm. What's the point of working twice as hard when the government just keeps taking the more you work? They're telling you not to work. And that's going to cause a problem. And then you get these socialists, no one should be poor. Yeah, I'm sorry I hate to break it to you, but criminals, like people who hurt other people, are going to end up poor. Some of them will get rich for sure, but a lot of them will end up poor because they're doing bad things. The idea that no one should be poor is insane.
I had a Sargon Avocado on my show a few weeks ago, and he was
great.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And he was talking about the tax policy in
the UK.
in the UK where he's living, and he was explaining that it's like this. Only it's like you make up to like 20, 30,000, something like that. He said, and you get taxed at 20%. But he's like, as soon as you make more than that, they double the tax.
Oh yeah,
and they paid 40% tax. Now he's
Yep.
like, so there's no incentive. People don't want to make more.
After 50,000 pounds, everything is taxed at 40. From 12 to 50,000 pounds, it's 20%. That's insane.
Yep.
Wow, 45%.
How do you? I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like trying to run a business over there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I mean, we have the 17th grievance in the Declaration of Independence over taxes. And I mean, we're pretty bad right now. We're pretty bad ourselves, but we're not quite that.
Scotland is different, though. Go move to Scotland. They do.
You can't understand anyone over there. They speak this weird English that no.
It's
no one except for
nah. I
Scotsman
take that back. It's the same. They have more brackets, but from 26 to 43, it's 21%. And from 43 to 75, it's 42, 45, 48. So it's effectively the same thing. It doubles after. That's actually worse. Yeah, in the UK, if you're making 50,000 pounds, what is it, like 70K a year? That's insane.
Maybe 70.
Yeah, so everybody makes the same amount because they're like, well, I'm not getting punished for making any more money. There's no point in making more money.
Yep. Great for ingenuity.
Yeah,
I mean, the U.S. is no different.
Yeah.
They can talk all they want about how no rich people don't pay their taxes, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, there's like 100 people that have made enough money to get to that point. Everybody else, it is back-breaking, bone-breaking to try and get that, and you're just losing.
The people that say rich people don't pay any taxes or pay their fair share, they're not only, like, they're the dumb people. You have to be completely ignorant or, motivated to not know to believe that.
Can they know what somebody's paying in taxes, or would that be a fraud, or would that be a felony to know what somebody's paying in taxes? How do they know the rich aren't paying their fair share unless they're looking at their taxes?
Well, it's all fake. It's all made up.
Because some politician told them that so that way they'd vote for them.
Look at that. So there's no way when Elizabeth Warren's up there saying, we need billionaires to pay their fair share. She has no idea, for one, what a fair share is. For two, that they're not paying whatever she wants them to pay because she would be committing a felony if she did know that, because she would not have fairly gotten that information.
They have no idea. And it doesn't matter. Like the dollar amount doesn't matter because that's why they say things like fair share. Because it's an abstract, an abstraction that they can.
Well, it sounds like rainbows and unicorns and lollipops.
Yeah, well,
fair share. Isn't that something
change.
You would want? Don't we want a Planned Parenthood? That's a great idea, right? Yeah, see where that's going? It's all about the language.
It is.
Let's jump to this next story from designrush.com. Jaguar sold 49 cars in April. That legit, like the whole company. Sold 49 cars.
Those remember the commercial?
Oh yeah,
woke rebrand.
I'm surprised it didn't work.
Woke rebrand.
That did not work.
That was like I felt like I was watching, like being hypnotized when I was watching that commercial.
It was an MK Ultra commercial. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have looked at it.
Hilarious.
Yep.
All right, you
Look
guys
at
ready? Here we go.
Shield your eyes.
Oh no.
Right? Doesn't it seem hypnotizing?
Create exuberant.
49 cars, guys.
It's the low vibrational music and the colors and like the movement.
Yeah. This is like what triggered Zoolander,
Yep.
right, in the movie.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
What were they thinking? I copy nothing. So
I think
actually,
it's hilarious.
I will say it's kind of woke, but it's not really. Like, nothing that's overtly political. It's just a bunch of people dressed in a very weird, disturbing way.
Were there any straight white men?
No.
I mean, there might be. Like this guy right here. Look at him.
Is that a man?
See?
Yes, that's a guy. And then isn't that a guy right there in a dress?
Isn't that a guy right there in a dress?
I think that's a lady.
All right. So
That might be a.
That one's a Nordic alien in the yellow.
all right. So there are no white women.
Blonde
not a
Eraserhead
bad
is
thing.
That's
definitely
a white
German.
woman right there.
Oh, yes, that is a woman.
See, I don't think it's woke just because it's weird.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
But they did rebrand and do this, and then sold 49 cars. And congratulations, I guess.
How much do those cars go for?
I don't know. Let's find out.
49 cars.
Someone in the chat will know.
Yeah, they were on clearance.
$73,000.
Times 49.
Is that what it was? No, 100,000, 200,000, upwards between 100 and 200,000.
Okay, I wonder how much that commercial cost.
I don't know. Maybe that's what they wanted. They apparently got rid of all the other cars, and they're like, "This is the new thing," and then nobody wants it. Like, I wouldn't drive that.
No.
Well, now they can market it as being.
You said, Serge, you said it's gay. It does look gay. Like, literally. I'm not saying it to be mean.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
it
can't-
looks like you like men if you drive that car.
I can't. I see what the chat's nickname the commercial, and I cannot say it on Timcast IRL.
Oh, that's offensive. You can't. You can't.
What you
do
guys
that.
talking about in the chat? You guys talking crazy out there?
Yeah, I see the chat.
So, my thoughts on this, I know everyone's going to say get woke, go broke. But again, like, I don't think it's overtly woke. I think the issue is there's no culture anymore. So you go back in time and everyone's trying to be like each other. They're trying to fit in socially. There's styles. And you want to push the boundaries of style without going too crazy. And so some guy decides, I'm going to wear a cover. I'm going to cover my buttons. And they're like, you're covering your buttons with that strange piece of cloth. Now I'm going to do it. And everyone starts wearing a tie or whatever. Some guy decides to wear a cape, and all of a sudden capes become a thing. But if you go too far with it, you get this. What I think's happening is culturally, everything has become splintered and dejected, and no one knows what to emulate or what is socially acceptable. So Jaguar's like, let's just try this random thing because who knows? Nobody likes the old James Bond aesthetic.
Yeah, but there was like something masculine about Jaguar that they mutilated with this.
That's true.
And then there was a legacy associated to it, and then they just totally rebranded to this, which doesn't have any legacy to it.
This does.
Real quick, that's a good point. It could be considered woke in that Jaguar was the James Bond-esque style of masculine, come here, no, come here, no, come here. Okay, fine. And then Sean Connery, the joke is, he goes, 3 no's and a yes means yes. And that was the brand. And they were like, let's just go for this weird,
Yeah.
I mean,
diverse.
the whole, like, even the ad and the cars, they just make me think of like some kind of throwback to a 1960s kind of attempt at maybe postmodernism or abstract
Mid-century.
kinda,
Yeah. Modern. Alien.
and it doesn't work apparently.
Dude,
Who'd have guessed?
Yeah.
The left gave up on like making actual art and stuff. Like they used to be all about art and stuff. They just stopped doing it, and they all try to do politics, which is just communism. And now all the art sucks, all the movies suck, all the music sucks. And you wonder why? It's because the people that dedicate themselves to art don't do any art anymore. All they do is complain and protest and moan and cry and don't go to work and don't do anything. That's why everything sucks.
Part of the reason why they complain is because everything on the left is deconstruction. Yeah. It's take all of the things that are beautiful and deconstruct them and say why they're not beautiful and say why they're bad. And
we should do a rock show where we deconstruct the songs. So I'll go up first and play the guitar riff and then leave. And then, we'll have Brandon come up and play the drums and then leave.
come up and sing the song.
Then you'll come up and sing.
like a line or sing every other word.
And we'll tell everybody what you got to do is you have to record it on your phone.
Yep.
And then you play you get 3 phones together and play them at the same time to hear the song.
Yep.
Actually, that does sound pretty.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
cubism for music. Yeah.
That would be a fun show, though.
That might be a little too close to art to actual art for this to work for the intended thing.
There will be no distinction between beauty and ugliness. There will be no curiosity, no enjoyment of life. All competing pleasures shall be destroyed. George Orwell, 1984.
Yeah. Stop having fun.
Don't like things because if you like something, then that means that you've created a hierarchy, and if you've created a hierarchy, well, then you're a fascist, and so now you're Hitler.
There you nothing go. And be happy.
Okay, now I kind of want to buy one of these.
You like chocolate? Now you're Hitler.
I bet these things use like some weird proprietary charging thing that it's got like 12 prongs going in random directions.
Yeah, it's like only European.
Yeah, I've been to Europe. Those things are weird.
Yeah. What? Did you say they run on?
They're just on fire tonight.
No. For the Jaguars, when you open it, it's got a male port, and then on the wall charger, it's another male port.
How does this work?
Yep.
You just gotta.
You gotta rub them together like a stick.
I'll let you guys see those motions on camera.
You're trying to make fire.
Like a gif of Phil.
How do I charge my car? It only has 2 female charging ports. You got to get the car right up to the wall and just press it up against it. All right. What are we talking about?
Getting a little risque there.
Yeah, but anyway, back to family friendly.
Ridiculous.
I think we've got a cultural collapse based on population. We've talked about before. I think even among the existing population, no one likes anything. You look at TikTok and Instagram trends, and it's random chaos.
Do you think that kind of attitude comes from the fact that on the internet, everyone's like kind of the first to criticize? Do you think that contributes to it?
I think the thing is that one of the problems we have is that on the internet, no one knows you're 14. And so you've got 40-year-old men posting their political opinions about like this tax rate is too much. And then some 13-year-old kid is like, you're wrong, and just typing random things. But for real, a lot of it is just kids are interacting with adults, and adults think the kids are adults. And so they're having conversations that are inane and go nowhere and counterproductive, and everything becomes a hodgepodge of just silly messes. Also consider this. If you're a liberal and you're being followed by like 10,000 people, and then you post something like, schools need to be reformed, and then 100 12-year-olds say ban homework, and you think those are adults, you will adopt the political values of 12-year-olds. And that's likely what's happening with the left.
Yeah.
That's a really good
That's
point.
exactly what's happening with the left.
I may be guilty of behaving like a 13-year-old on the internet sometimes.
That's what the internet's for.
Confession.
Yeah, it's a time machine.
I mean, that's largely all I do. But the thing is, like, I don't get influenced by 12-year-olds. It's like, I understand that profile with no profile picture, that's just saying stupid, offensive things. I'm like, yeah, I get it, dude, you're 12.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't care what you have to think.
Yeah, of course.
But a lot of people live in that reality, and then they end up. This is the crazy thing. It's almost like how AI is becoming a feedback loop. Adults talking to kids. The kids don't know about culture or anything, so they feed back static garbage to the adults, and the adults adopt it from the kids. This is actually crazy. Adults are learning from kids on the internet because they don't know better, and they're adopting the behaviors of kids who haven't yet fully formed their beliefs and their behaviors. So it's just becoming.
And then there's a small pockets of that happening on the internet amongst the dead internet. So it's just a bunch of nothing.
Yeah. And
I think the internet's dead already.
they all think
Yes.
kids can consent to changing their gender and stuff anyway. So might as
Because
well
it's
take
12-year-olds tweeting it.
Yeah. So they might as well just take on the entire identity of a child that can
It's like
consent.
they're going to legalize drinking for children. And they're going to be like, look, I go on Twitter and everybody's saying kids should be allowed to drink. And it's just a bunch of 12-year-olds being like, I want beer.
Yeah, that's why some of them on the left are saying they should vote too. Remember, they're trying to lower the
Yeah.
voting age?
Probably a bunch of 12-year-olds on X being like, I want to vote.
I want to
Yeah.
vote. That was cool. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
But I think the internet's already dead.
Yeah.
I think the overall. I've talked about how you can identify bots before, but I don't. I tweeted earlier. I'm just gonna start ignoring profiles without pictures because it's gonna be a bot or it's gonna be a 14-year-old.
Have you noticed the new bots that understand your post and write like a sentence that's about your post, but then it turns into the spam?
Yep.
Like they're evolving.
Yep.
And there's a lot of them. And it's like the Bitcoin bots. The porn bots are gone.
Yeah.
And now it's
Now
the
it's-
Bitcoin bots.
Now I think X should remove monetization.
100%. Monetization ruined Twitter.
It was a mistake because it created a.
They scaled it way back. They scaled monetization way
They
back.
need they need to scale it back, and the issue is, to an extent, it's okay because the porn bots were first. How can we make money on the platform? And I think Elon was like, they're making money on the platform by doing porn because you can direct people to your porn, and so by doing monetization, everyone started creating bots that comment and reply in a controversial way or to generate a conversation. Now you get these spam posts where I'll say something like, I had pancakes for breakfast. And then someone will reply with, that's an interesting thought. Pancakes for breakfast. The other day I was eating waffles and it's like this long-winded blog and I'm like, what the?
Yeah. And they tag someone for you to
Yeah.
talk to consult with.
Oh, yes. I get a
Bizarre.
lot of those.
Yeah, right?
You know what I get a lot of that I block instantly? Someone responds with, that's crazy. And then it's a quote tweet of a guy wearing a shirt. And someone walks up to him with a phone and QR scans the
Yes,
shirt.
I see that everywhere.
Insta-block.
Yeah, I might have blocked like 25 accounts with that.
Yep. Insta-block.
Yeah. Monetization was a bad idea. It turned everyone into TMZ and like a lot of clickbaity, stuff.
Yeah.
And then people using old videos, especially during times of war, and they're like, this is an explosion from yesterday, but we saw it 5 years ago.
Yep.
And that's
There was a really funny moment in like 2016 or 17 where everyone started posting videos of tanks and APCs being transported and military helicopters.
Yeah.
and they were like, whoa, what's happening? And it created a trend.
Jade Helm.
And people, is that what it was called?
There was a lot of people talking about an Operation Jade.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And all that was really happening was everybody was in on the troll, where you'd find a random video of military movement or police movement and then post it and claim it was happening right then. And then a trend happened where people thought the U.S. government was doing something.
Just this weekend, the whole Trump talking about UFOs thing was going viral, but that was over a year ago.
Yeah.
So everyone was thinking like, did you see this? This is how happening now. He's talking about Nordics, and they were talking about Rhett Burleson, right, and all this stuff. But all that stuff is old, but everyone was thinking it was new.
Yep. Wait till AI, man.
Yeah.
AI is already just so nuts.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I've been AI generating fake video games and using VO. I've been saying this. We're like, what, a couple years out from, like, I feel bad for Rockstar for making GTA because they spent like, like $2 billion to make GTA 6, some ridiculous amount. And we're a couple years out from being able to just go to an LLM and be like, take the code of GTA and make a new version and it'll do it. Mm-hmm. So right now, Gemini and I think, was it Claude? They can already make like Atari games. They haven't made Mario. A little complicated to make Mario, but they can make Atari games. So I think we're 6 months to a year away from you being able to tell this, make me a 2-dimensional platformer where a character punches bricks, and then it'll make you a game just like Mario. It'll have better hitbox detection and controls than most mobile apps. Mm-hmm. And then we're probably a year or two away from you being able to be like, take the game structure of Baldur's Gate 3 and make an entirely new game with new characters and new story. And it'll just do it.
Will that just destroy the video game market?
It'll destroy literally every market because once we get to that point, movies are already gone. Yeah. It's harder to make a game than a movie. And we're already, I'll say it again, VO from Gemini can already make high quality video that's insane. It gets it wrong a lot. I guarantee you, internally at Google, they've already had it make movies.
Oh, yeah.
If a consumer can make, 4 or 5 8-second videos per day for $20 a month or something, the company itself, with all its they're probably telling it, make me a Spider-Man movie, and it is. Mm-hmm. And it's probably better. Their version is probably, so here's the thing. The version we get, they've probably had for 2 years because they have to test it to make sure it's not going to do really messed up stuff, like show snuff films or something.
Right.
What they have probably shows really nasty things, so they don't release it to the public yet. They're still testing it. But I bet you Google has already said, make a movie, and then within like 2 days, it renders a full 2-hour-long horror film or something.
If you're telling me that AI could put Hollywood out of business and we won't have to deal with A-list actresses anymore and actors, I'm not against it.
So what does our economy turn into?
AI influencers.
Yeah.
They've already got people signing
exist.
AI musicians.
Yeah, they have AI girls on OnlyFans.
The top live streams are all these VTubers. It's just AI. It's automatically animated characters, and then when you talk, the character does everything. A filter. And people just watch anime waifus play video games.
I wonder how long that will last. Do you think that will sustain itself, or people are going to be like rejecting that eventually, say, I want to go back to...
I think humans are being converted for the singularity. So ChatGPT and LLMs are making people stupider. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that as a joke or to be facetious. It's literally lowering IQ, lowering cognitive ability and general capability. So what's going to happen is we all thought it was going to be like Idiocracy, where everyone's sitting there like, oh, my balls, and they're really dumb. Nope. I was saying a few years ago, your job is like, you're going to have an app and it's going to be called like, job app. And it's going to be like, meet this man and take this device to 5th Street, where you'll meet this man, give him the device. And you'll be like, what do I get? And it'll say $50. You'll hit accept. You'll walk, and the guy will walk up and he'll have some weird mechanical box, and you'll be like, thanks. Then you'll walk to another location, and some guy will walk up and go, you got my box? Here you go. And then your phone go, ching. And you're not going to know because the AI or the people running that app, you don't need to know what you're doing. They just need to get that object from point A to point B in the fastest way possible, and that's some guy bringing it to some other guy instead of waiting for a courier, getting a taxi service or whatever. I was wrong about that. Here's what I think is going to happen. Humans are going to have an IQ that would be comparable to around 70, and they're going to be real dumb. And I bet it's worse than I'm even predicting right now. They're not going to talk all that much. They're going to be like, huh, and their phones are going to tell them what to do.
All I can think is like, go away, Peyton.
Yep. But here's the thing. The problem with idiocracy was that the systems were falling apart. That won't happen. The AI isn't intentionally making people dumb, but people are being made dumb by AI doing everything for them.
Yeah.
So they will maintain a level of being able to do rudimentary tasks, like picking things up and placing them places. That will maintain the AI system, and then they will do work, and the AI becomes the multicellular organism system, the next evolution of life, from a single cell to a multicell to a multi-organism system itself. So the machine will be sustained, and each individual person will be like a single cell in a multicellular organism, doing one task all day, every day until they die without deviating or thinking of anything else. And if anybody does deviate, what do we call that? Cancer.
Fascism. Oh,
Cancer.
cancer.
In the human body, when cells deviate from their designated task and start doing whatever they want, like tumors will grow teeth and hair, and it's random, cancer, and then you die, or your body destroys it. And I think that's what this society is turning into.
Yeah.
Everyone will be real stupid. Like if you look at, it's fascinating. Single-celled organisms eat and reproduce. They have full lives. It's simple for a single-celled organism. Red blood cells don't do that. They are made, they carry, they die. They are made somewhere else. And that's what we're going to have. There are going to be people who are born but never have children and then just die.
It's happening now already.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's my problem
And
with a lot
the
of these.
AI is going to run these people.
Yeah, but a lot of these AI people, like Sam Altman, keep saying this is going to make everyone's lives better. But I'm like, we already have all this technology at our disposal, and a lot of kids can't even read anymore. So why do you think all of a sudden giving us AI is going to make us any smarter?
There was one study that found that high school kids who were using ChatGPT could not remember after like 10 or 15 minutes what they had written into ChatGPT or what it had told them.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard the bit today.
Because they're not thinking about it. It's like when your parents say take out the trash, you don't remember. You're just like, oh, I did that. Like, what did you have for breakfast yesterday? You know, it's like, oh, what did I have for breakfast yesterday? Sometimes it's like, I don't know. It's a routine thing I don't care about.
Yeah, I think there's, it also might be linked to like how you learn, how humans were meant to learn. And ChatGPT is telling them, giving them an order, and then they do the order. So it's like copy, paste. I mean, I take paper notes. You take paper notes. This is how I learn. This is how I absorb information. And I think a lot of humans are meant to learn that way. So we've evolved to learn that way. So I don't foresee us evolving to learn through ChatGPT.
Kids are asking it serious questions about history or law, and it could hallucinate something
Yeah.
totally bogus. And then, but they don't know it's bogus because they don't know to look any further into it.
Yep.
Yes,
So then they're
exactly.
remembering now a false reality, and that will just accelerate the total deterioration.
And then on top of that, there's the ego that goes with that too. Like, no, I can't be wrong.
Right.
Did you hear about the people who are being committed?
Oh yeah, I saw the one guy. There was another guy
There's a bunch.
a few weeks ago who took his life because he fell in love with the AI.
Oh, yeah.
There was a story where a guy was a normal, mild-mannered, middle-aged guy, started using ChatGPT for assistance with, I forgot what it was. He was doing some hobby, and then started using it, and then got wrapped into it, and then started. He came to believe because of what GPT was saying to him that someone was trying to kill his wife and their child, and he was on his knees crying and begging his wife to believe him that the AI was warning them, and so they ended up. She and like another guy went out to get money, and they planned like we're gonna have to get him help. And when they came back, he was trying to kill himself.
My goodness.
So then they had him 5150'd.
You said, what was the AI company that had just a bunch of Indians working behind the scenes?
Oh yeah, it was not even real.
I don't worry about that too, you know? How many AI is just that?
A lot. All right, we're gonna go to your chat. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. We're going to have that uncensored call-in show coming up at 10 p.m. You don't want to miss it. If you want to be a member who calls in, you go to timcast.com and join our Discord server where tens of thousands of people are hanging out. If you want to be part of a community because you want to get a project started or help someone start a project, this is how you do it. Community is everything. That's why we got the Timcast Discord server at timcast.com. $10 sign up. Not to mention, I got to pull this up. I got to shout this out. DC Comedy Loft. We're having this big event. We got 3 events set up already. July 26th, August 2nd, and August 9th. So we've confirmed August 2nd, which is going to be the craziest and funniest show we've ever done, unless the other events are we'll see. But Michael Malice and Angry Cops will be debating police and authority and all that. I will be hosting along with Alex Stein. This is in Washington, D.C. There are a lot of tickets still available. 40 have been sold. I'm not sure how many are left for members, but we have 30 designated seats free for members. So if you're a member of the Timcast Discord, you just click it, sign up, boom, you get a ticket. So it's gonna get fun. Now, my friends, before we jump over to those to your comments, we do have a great sponsor. It is Home Title Lock. My friends, go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code TIM. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code. You want to pull that up, Serge? And let's get it. If you're a homeowner, you got to hear this. Today's AI and cyber world, we're just talking about that. Scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans against loans using your equity, or even sell your property, and you won't even know it happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. So when's the last time you guys checked your home title? If your answer is never, then maybe you should consider looking into that. This is why we're working with Home Title Lock. We're proud to have them sponsor the show. So you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use promo code TIM at HomeTitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Once again, it's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code TIM. The craziest thing is, I was looking into this because I was like, wow, that's like kind of freaky. It has been skyrocketing. This is like one of the go-to frauds been happening for in the past several years. So thank you, Home Title Lock. Shout out. But let's grab your super chats. Valseco, says, can I ask a legit question about the AI 10-year? What is that? Early on, I heard the reason is they don't want to stay. What is that? The AI 10-year?
Oh, that
From the big, beautiful bill.
Yes.
Where you can't make any,
right.
regulations on it.
They don't want to stay like California to set a standard either no other state can meet or be held back, like emissions.
Interesting.
Maybe. All right. Bill Dozier says the word you wanted was apathetic. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Let's see. Amba Laban says, we're in Brooklyn. In 22 to 23, Mom's Medicare was fraudulently billed for unsolicited at-home COVID tests ordered by Illinois and Texas-based providers, cluttering our mailbox until I reported to Medicare. Wow. I bet there's way more
100%.
than they even caught.
Yeah.
Yep.
Way more.
Sheergall says, real capitalism hasn't been tried yet. There's always been government interference in the markets. Wrong. In 1800s in the West, there was, to an extent, certainly government interference, but nobody could enforce anything, and that's why Hollywood became the movie capital.
Wild West.
Yep, the Wild West. They were like, we don't want to pay taxes. Do something about it.
Tim, I'm going to head out to my show now.
All right, where's that at?
We are at Rumble and YouTube, 10 o'clock to midnight. Phone lines are open. Inverted World Live. I want to give a shout out to Gibbs Straw on Twitter for making the AOC crying at Alligator Alcatraz. It's a good one. But I'll see you all later. It was a pleasure.
Inverted World, Tales from the Inverted World. Anyone can call in.
That's right.
Call in and ask them about the clouds.
Yeah, for real quick, just to get into it, I won't be here for the after show, but fake clouds do make real lightning.
Fake clouds make real lightning.
Yeah.
What are the vintage?
Fake vintage clouds make real lightning. Yeah, hologram clouds make hologram lightning. And then there's the interdimensional clouds, but we'll get into another point.
Yeah, the end.
Thank you, guys. It was a fun one. See you, Josie.
All right.
You're the best. See you, bud.
All right, let's go. I identify as tax exempt, says, the means of production is the mind. Agreed.
Yeah. Oh, that's what property rights are. It comes down to your beliefs, too. Yeah.
Skyline 99 says, when Burma was taken over by communists, aka socialists, in 65, they even seized sewing machines from families who can afford one.
Unreal. Mm-hmm. Unreal.
Took everything.
CC Watson says, I'm late, but wanted to join the baby chats. My beautiful girl was born 9 days ago. Tim, give some of your best tips, tricks, and or suggestions. It's a lot, but totally worth it. Have babies. Tips and tricks for babies? I mean, my baby's only 4 months. Actually, yeah. She's just 4 months and a week now. So I don't got much to add to that. Josie's got a bunch of kids.
Yeah, I've got 3 daughters, 16, almost 15, and 10. And the best advice I can give you is to let them be kids. Let them be kids as long as you can. Take in every moment that you can. It goes really fast, and I know a lot of people say that, but you start to lose the memories. Just hold on to everything that you can as hard as you can.
Oh, there you go.
Awesome.
All right. Omega Resetsu says, progressive tax. Evidence of taxation is theft. If I told you to give me money, and if you didn't, I'd draw a gun on you, and you further refuse, only for me to lock you up, then I am robbing you. I disagree with that assessment, despite the fact that I hate getting taxed the more that I work. There's two ways. There's a couple other arguments that can be made. If I was providing you a service and said, your bill is due, and you said, I'm not paying that, I don't want to, and then you refuse to, I should have legal recourse to get the money that I'm owed. That being said, the argument is then, I never agreed to enter into this subscription service. Well, therein lies the challenge of being born into a system. That's just it. You get privileges and benefits from being in the United States. So I don't think I don't think all taxes are wrong. I just think that we have a corrupt system, and any system, government, will tend towards corruption over a period of time. I certainly don't think the first taxes they had with tariffs and all that in the early days, people were like, it's wrong. No, they recognize some taxes were okay. You want to have a government? You want to have a standing army? We're just in a corrupt system. And all of these systems will always tend towards corruption. So, all right, what do we got here?
Yeah, what you explained was minarchy, and that's what our founders had in mind when they wrote the Constitution.
Same old man says, Tim, that is a Bud Light car. Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep. All right, what else we got going on over here? We got Millennial Mama. Did you guys see the part of the dissent where Ms. Jackson referenced Martians? No longer surprised she doesn't know what a woman is. Is that for real?
I don't think I saw the dissent.
Oh, I didn't read through. It's Katanji's dissent. I'm going to have to scan it for that word
I
Martians.
thought you were talking about the movie.
Oh, no, then that was definitely AI.
Well, I did some checking into it because the argument was that it was AI. And I don't want to say it was conclusive, but ChatGPT did tell me. I tweeted it. It said that based on things like wait for it, she actually wrote that.
I didn't see that.
You saw that she wrote wait for it?
Yes, I saw that.
What? Who is she talking to? Is she writing like a feminist blog?
Exactly.
But it said because of things like that, it looked like it was AI generated. As AI can't make strong academic and legal arguments, it tends to default into the, what did it describe it as? It said something like lacking substance, but trying to look energized. Like it can't offer up strong academic points because it can only replicate. So it gives you sensationalism.
Full stop.
Yeah, full stop in the two. Here we go. Jackson wrote, a Martian arriving here from another planet would see these circumstances and surely wonder what good is the Constitution then? Okay, I think it's AI. I think it was AI.
Wow.
I think it was AI. I didn't even know about the Martian thing.
This is going into the history of our country. Like this.
So I Google searched AI plagiarism checker, and then it was like, was this written by not plagiarism? I'm sorry, it was an AI text checker. Was this written by AI? And I tweeted this. It said 80% likely it was written by an AI, and then it rewrites it, trying to remove things that are indicative of AI. So basically, it was a service for people who are trying to use AI in schools. So AI checkers can't detect it, and it detected this. What I think is possible, don't know for sure, is that Jackson has her clerks, says, here's the argument. They work on it. She asks the clerks, start writing it up, and the clerks are like, I'll just go into ChatGPT and have it make blocks. I would not be surprised if they were like paragraph by paragraph going to GPT and say, write a succinct paragraph about this idea. Like, the general idea is this. Write a longer paragraph and make it sound academic. Enter. And then it writes it and they go, okay, that looks good. And they put it in. I think they used AI for this. I mean, a Martian arriving from another planet. Why is the Supreme Court justice saying that's silly nonsense? They could literally just say an outside observer to this nation would wonder what is the purpose of a constitution.
It's really
I'm not. The Martian thing is AI.
Yeah.
Like
Amy Coney Barrett's her opinion, the way that she criticized KBJ in that, like, it just shows that there is contempt for her at this point, that she could openly do that.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my lawyer today, and we were making jokes about this. But the fact that she, that she articulated the way that she did, or maybe it was AI or whatever, it's probably unprecedented to have the Supreme Court kind of go after and excoriate a justice in the way they did. I'm unaware of any, and any precedent, and my lawyer wasn't aware of any either.
It doesn't happen like that. That's what made it so alarming. And she's like, with annoying legalese or however she worded it, to really stick it to her. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's
a long dash for me.
What?
The long dash is what does it for me. You see a long dash underneath
No,
there,
Amy, the M dashes, Amy Coney Barrett has M dashes appear all throughout it.
The idea.
So when people first said M dashes are indicative, the first thing I checked was what Amy Coney Barrett wrote, and I'm like, if they both use M dashes, I'm not going to use that as like anything like. And literally, if we take the M dash.
Amy Coney Barrett's brilliant. I believe she has a photographic memory. If you remember her confirmation, her hearing, she had notes. And it's a blank piece of paper, and she holds it up, a blank piece of paper. God, somebody's going to meme that later. But it was empty, and she was given notes to write as she went, and she was referencing all these cases right from her mind. It was very brilliant. I don't know if Ketanji could do that.
What I have right here is literally just the majority opinion written by Coney Barrett, and there's M dashes all over it. Mm-hmm. So they do tend to be indicative of AI, but she does use quite a bit.
Maybe not in this kind of document. That makes sense.
Yeah, see, this is the opinion of the court, 96, blah, blah, blah.
But when you see like a Twitter post within it, you can
Yep. Because AI doesn't differentiate between text written by humans for human purposes and academic legal stuff. And I think the M dashes begin to appear like Simone, what was her name? The Biles?
Simone
Biles.
Yeah. Like her apology or whatever.
Oh, that was AI.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that's AI. Because it's like, why did you put an M dash in that?
Yep.
PR firm, AI generated an apology and then posted it, and everyone's like, dude, that Martians thing, I am 100% convinced it's AI.
Yep.
Wow.
Unreal.
That wonders how she got as far as she did in her career, if she knows they're using AI, if she chooses to use AI. I mean, is it like that the president of Harvard who had plagiarized her? Mm-hmm. It's reminding me of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it's unprecedented, and to see that kind of ridiculous takes that she had on display, it doesn't bode well for the court. I was again, like I said, I was talking to my lawyer today, and he was kind of the opinion that she's essentially going to be sidelined as a justice for the next decade or so, or maybe she'll get pressured to step down. But they're not going to take anything that she says, seriously. You can't have not only that kind of dissent, but also, the fact that she has been so verbose and said so little.
Yes, it's like people that talk to sound smart, they just say a bunch of words and say nothing.
It reminded me of the old In Living Color, the guy that was the Damon Wayans guy that was, or was Keenan, I don't know, either one of the Wayans brothers was the guy in jail that just used big words, the criminal guy, and I forget his name though. Anyways.
No, I think that you're onto something.
But she's ridiculous, and it's good that the court excoriated her the way they did. It's good that they pointed out how ridiculous the things that she was saying are, and put it on display so that the American people can actually say, all right, we were right when we thought she was dumb when she said she couldn't identify what a woman was.
You remember when they did the bar graph of how much words each justice did?
I've got it saved in my phone.
Yeah, and she had like 11,600 or something like that, and Justice Clarence Thomas had like 90.
Yeah.
She just doesn't.
Just sitting there, doesn't say anything.
No,
Words spoken. She's spoken a total of 23,912. Oh, I'm sorry. The female justices have spoken a total of 23,912. Kajenti Brown Jackson spoke 11,003 herself.
Wow.
The male justices have spoken a total of 9,490.
She spoke more than any, the 6 male justices. That's incredible.
And then Clarence Thomas himself has spoken 96.
Yes.
It was, wait, 96 this year?
96
words.
words.
This is
when was that? Was
for the first 8 arguments.
Yes.
So
96.
Man of little words, but he packs a punch.
And
he's got to retire. Mm-hmm. He and Alito got to retire.
They do, and they got to let Trump replace him.
Yep.
They got to work on a clone.
And they got to do it before the midterms.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely.
Otherwise, they're not going to get any confirmations through.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Yeah, man.
How old is Alito now?
He's what is he the oldest? 74?
70 something.
75.
And Clarence is
Late 70s, I think.
Late 70s, okay.
Or early 70s, I think.
Okay. I couldn't remember which one of them was older.
Man.
I love
It's a shame.
He was born. He's 70. Samuel Alito is 75. He was born in 1950.
And Thomas? Can we just invent immortality for these guys?
Yeah, I like
Clarence
that.
Thomas is. 1 second. He was born in 48, so he's
Thomas is
77?
77. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
They got to retire. And they got to do it now.
Soon.
Alito, I feel like, could die on the bench like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I could see Justice Clarence Thomas.
They better not hold on. They are the best we've got. They're the only ones that ever want to do their jobs. I respect them tremendously. And their job right now is finding that successor and hoping that Trump chooses the right one.
Yeah.
If they can help with choosing that successor, that would be the best because they'd find somebody that's just like them.
Absolutely.
All right.
Approve of it, at least.
Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, tomorrow is Mega Month. Let's go. Barbecues, burgers, and beers. We celebrate the founding fathers, our great nation, and why it's important not to lose it. We are putting up a gigantic American flag in the boonies in the skate park.
You are?
Yeah, I think
Reminds
it's
me.
like 30 feet or something. It's huge.
Tomorrow is when you change your X profile picture to something with you and the American flag. So
That's right.
I feel bad I didn't get to talk about really any American history today. So let me just say that the founding fathers were terrified that Ben Franklin would put a joke into the Declaration of Independence. So when it came down to choosing who was going to write the Declaration of Independence, it was John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, or Ben Franklin. Adams got behind Jefferson and really pushed for that. He put all of his weight behind Jefferson. So Jefferson got it. And as far as we know, there is no joke into the Declaration of Independence. And something that Ben Franklin did add to the Declaration of Independence is Thomas Jefferson had written, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable." And Ben Franklin said, "No, we hold these truths to be self-evident." That way, it wouldn't be, your rights would be natural and they wouldn't be divinely sanctioned.
yep.
There, a little history for everybody.
There you go.
For the 4th.
So, yeah, of course, tomorrow, all the profile pictures, everyone's got to post. You got to change. You got to put the American flag. So every company's got to do it. Every company. We have to, we got to get on that. Make sure everybody here changes their profile, you know?
I had a
So what's funny is all the pride flags are being removed. Corporations aren't changing their profiles to pride flags anymore. And we are going to put up our American flags because that's called winning.
Yep.
Absolutely.
America. Yeah.
The way that it should be.
Yes.
Mega month.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with celebrating the United States of America. It is the greatest country that has ever existed.
Ever.
Oh, hands down.
Hands down.
It's the American experiment is what they had called it, and they all believed in it so much.
All right. Chimichangas says Indian food is meant to be eaten with your hands. I learned that from Zohran Mamdani. He was shoveling it in his face with his hands. And I was like, okay.
There's a lot of Indian food that I can't imagine eating with my hands. How are you going to
know-
eat? Like,
You know what's funny? I noticed this when I go to like an Asian restaurant and there are Asian people there, they ain't using chopsticks, they're using forks.
yeah.
It's all the American white people that are using chopsticks.
They all want to feel fancy.
Forks
I did
do work
see
well.
Dinesh D'Souza's daughter. Somebody was saying that she eats rice with her hands, and she quote tweeted it and was like, "Actually, I was born in the United States, and I've eaten rice with a fork my whole life."
I eat rice with chopsticks
I don't know how.
with my left hand.
Interesting. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know how to move chopsticks at all.
I can use chopsticks. Especially pretty well for a round eye.
When you're part Asian, you don't have to learn it. You can just do
You
it.
just naturally have that.
It's genetically ingrained. I just both hands actually.
Oh,
Both?
It's not true. I could pick up a glass of water with chopsticks.
Really?
Yeah.
that's
All
impressive.
right.
I don't know. Yeah,
I definitely cannot do that.
I don't know. I'm a redhead, so I'm black.
actually that's probably a guitar thing. Left-handed.
All right.
Yeah. I think I can use chopsticks with my left hand because I play guitar.
Okay.
Like
Makes
my
sense.
it's kind of, isn't that kind of wild? You're right-handed, so you strum with your right, but you do all the crazy dexterous movements with your left.
Our guitar player, Mike, he's a left-handed guy. He writes with his left hand, but he plays guitar right-handed. Which is smart because honestly, like, look, you're going to pay an extra 10 or 15, 20% for a left-handed guitar for your entire life. It's a waste of time to get a play righty.
You know what I realized? There's no such thing as a left-handed video game controller.
Nope.
Whenever we play, the action buttons are your right hand, and your directional is usually your left. Now there's another joystick on most consoles that, so you have two joysticks like PlayStation for both thumbs. But that means people who are left-handed are like using a controller configured for right-handed people.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm ambidextrous, and I had read that
You
means
write?
you use
Both hands?
I can paint with both hands.
Okay.
I paint. I painted Bocus.
Yes.
Yes, I painted Bocus with both my hands. So yeah, I can paint with both hands. I can write with both hands. I eat with both hands. I actually play all sports lefty, but yeah, it's very interesting, and it's because it's using both sides of your brain.
I additionally am ambidextrous, but I can't write with my left. I also can't write with my right. So
Yeah, I can, but it's not as good. But painting, I can do perfectly with either.
if I wrote with my left, you'd be like, that looks terrible. And if I wrote with my right, you'd be like, that also looks terrible. So I can technically write with both, but I wouldn't call it writing. But no, interestingly, there's a lot of things I do with my left hand. So like this fingerboard, for instance, it's my left hand, and it's a stupid thing to be good at, but I am. And I don't know, it's a bunch of weird things. Like I do use chopsticks with my left. Yeah. All right, let's grab one more of these here super chats. And then we'll, what do we got here? It's jumping on me. -1-2 says, look at Quebec, 53.31% income tax. I am not interested.
Good grief.
Gross. That is foul.
No. All right, my friends, we're going to go to that uncensored call-in show at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You got to become a premium user at Rumble to get access to all the good stuff. We got Steven Crowder's Mug Club. You got Dr. Disrespect. You got me. You got Russell Brand. So go to rumble.com/Timcast IRL. Use promo code TIM10. You will save $10 for your annual membership, and you get access to all of the members' content from everyone. We also have a documentary coming up. We got 2 full-length documentaries available right now at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. Another one coming out very, very soon. It's going to be great. It's on the border. It's on immigration. It's going to be very interesting. So again, follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Smash that like button. Josie, do you want to shout anything out?
Yes, you can find me on X at TRHL Official. I have some cool shows coming up this month. I have scheduled Anomaly next Monday, and the following Sunday I have Jimmy Dore. So we'll hopefully those play out. But yeah, you can check me out there. And I have this coffee, and it's through Cask Brew, and it's 1776 Signature Blend, and you should definitely go there and try it.
It's got a creamy flavor.
It does. It has like a creamy flavor. It's it's sort of based off Boston cream, I guess. It's a play on that. So it's got notes of vanilla and notes of chocolate.
Ooh, but that's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. Our new record is entitled Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget The Left Lane is for Crime.
We will see you all at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. Thanks for hanging out.